Hello, everyone. Hello. Hello. How's everyone doing tonight? Oh, I can't thank you guys enough for coming here, gathering around your devices, and joining us together here tonight for this debate. It's the 27th of June. It's the first presidential debate of the 2024 election season. And yeah, my friends, we're here to witness this absolute shit show of a spectacle live. All joined here in a little group to shit talk the entire event. This is going to be a train wreck, guys. It's going to be a train wreck. I have such low expectations for tonight's debate, yet I am curious to see how this thing folds out. Actually, I've been talking about it, here and there the last couple days. I'm curious to see how this folds out because the mainstream media. I mean, this is a CNN jam, right? And they're not going to want to give Trump a platform to get like that mega momentum rolling, so they're going to want to minimize Trump's involvement in tonight's debate, At the same time, though, Biden is such a mess. He's just such a wreck that you can't keep him on frame. You can't keep him on camera for any extended period of time because he just has that blank look, like he's just straight checked the fuck out, so you're not going to dwell on pictures of Biden. So how are you going to fill the debate time? I think we're in for a moderator-heavy event. I think the moderators are going to have as much, if not more, screen time than both candidates combined. I think they're going to reinforce the Biden talking points, and then they are going to try to stop Trump like dead. I think they're going to like try to fact check him and just cut him off into oblivion. I think it's just going to be a mess. It's going to be an absolute fucking wreck. But I don't know, man. I see some names in the chat here. Let me say hello. Spaz Watcher, woot woot. Thanks for checking out the show. Christopher Helms. Maybe Biden will untidy himself. I wouldn't doubt it. If he starts to get that look in his face like when a 2-year-old is shitting themselves, that just sort of blank stare and the sort of, he's dumping his pants, And God, I've been thinking that would make the night for me. That would make the entire election friggin' in my eyes. Just the memes for that tomorrow would just be such fire. It would be the best day on the internet in the world if Biden shit himself on live national TV. Oh, forget it. The memes, they'd be so good. But I'm not even afraid to start this fucking party off deep down the rabbit hole, right? I wouldn't put it past CNN and the mainstream media to like fake us all out, to roll out some sort of like virtual reality Biden and have him not like even be there, Like if Biden strolls out on the stage, right, just like waltzes out there all confidently striding, like, presenting himself with authority. And like if he starts like banging out the talking points left and right, if he's real articulate and well-spoken, I'm going to ring the bullshit alarm because that's not Biden. It'd have to be some kind of like Boston Dynamic cyborg or something like that because he's a fucking potato. There's nothing. The lights are off, you know what I mean? He's just not home upstairs. And I think that's what most of America is tuning in here tonight to see like the train wreck. I mean, I'm sure there's a portion of the viewership audience that's tuning in for like the talking points and like all the grandness of American political theater with the stage and the candidates and, the people who really believe in the process. It's all fake. But most of the viewerships are coming in tonight to look at a feeble Joe Biden. That's just what people want to see. So I don't know, man. Maybe we'll get it. I know. All right, let me click off over here. I know the debate itself is on CNN, so let me try to throw up their website and try to find it. I think we still have a good 10 minutes or so till it shows up. If I can't find like a clean stream here on CNN, I'll just hop over to YouTube because I know they have this shit over on YouTube. But let me full screen this bad boy. Historic Biden-Trump debate starts soon. Look at him. Oh man, he just don't look well. I would say that as far as like the images that they're leading their page off with here, this is at the top of the page. I can say that's pretty accurate representations of each candidate, right? I wouldn't say they're using like the worst picture of Trump they could find butted up against the best picture of Biden. I would say that those are probably accurate and equal representations of each candidate. And don't think for a second I'm sweet talking CNN. No. They are fucking. They're bad people. You know what I mean? It's shit. They're not right. But just seeing that they're accurately represented, you can just see that Biden is physically not as like stout looking as Trump. And I'm not a Trump tard. I'm not like fully on the Trump train or anything either. I'm not a fanboy. But I can just say between the two of them, I just think he looks a little bit more capable. He presents himself with a little bit more pizzazz, I guess. But I don't even like scrolling through this shit. I feel deep in enemy territory, man. Just CNN, it's just, I don't know. All corporate mainstream media, even the news media, especially the news media, it's all managed. I mean, we all know who owns this shit, and they're not about to tell you any little bit of truth. The whole establishment of news is just so fake when you really like try to break it down piece by piece and analyze it. The idea that there's a show on television that gives you an in-depth and unfiltered look at the inner mechanisms of your government is just crazy to think about. No such show exists. The news is little more than politically themed entertainment for people who subscribe to that, like, soap opera. The politicos, the people who know all the candidates and know how, like, all the bills are stacked up and lined up ready to go through Congress. And I don't know, man. It's not real by any means. But that's either here nor there. I mean, it's still something, I guess, to pay attention to. Maybe. But we got this little countdown time here saying we got 7 minutes, 43 seconds until this shit show starts. But what's going to happen? Is it going to pop into this little window here? Like where? How do I, what is this little, all right, follow live coverage. Trump not accompanied by his wife as he arrived in Atlanta. Donald Trump's spin room is a who's who of potential vice president candidates. Biden campaign mission shatter the impression that so many Americans have from snippets on social media. No, it's not the impression that Americans have from snippets they see on social media. I mean, even if it was that, even if it was those like selectively edited clips that the left-wing news media already says, how many times can you provide that sort of stock material before the average thinking person thinks like, wow, maybe there is something to all this. I don't know. I think it's going to be bad. I think that they're going to have to shoot Biden up with so much adrenochrome that he's just going to walk out there straight pinned, looking like a meth head on the first of the month after they get their benefit check, just all fucking drugged out, zombie like. It's going to be a mess. But it'll be something. I'd like to see the viewership numbers on this shit show right here, but I don't know. We got about 6 minutes left, my friends. 6 minutes until the heartache starts, till the misery begins. Let me dip in here to the chat. Oh, yes. But what are you guys thinking that's going to happen tonight? Like I said earlier, I have really no expectations. But I think whatever unfolds here tonight, the like the propagandist press tomorrow, your major like news outlets, I think they're going to rave over Biden's performance, regardless of what he does. You know what I mean? He could just start wandering around the house, wandering around the stage aimlessly, friggin' drooling on himself. And the, like CNN here, all the major news outlets will be like, oh, he put on such a brave, brave front in the face of such a evil orange man. And I don't know, they'll cover for any deficiencies that he exhibits, and they will, appraise to the 10th degree anything that he does that could even be passably resembling proficient. The guy's he's cooked. He's just fucking cooked. But I don't know, what do we got here? Christopher Helms throws in the chat that he's expecting the unexpected. Me too. It. I don't even know how long this thing is gonna last for. I don't know. Like what the rules are. Usually, it's like they throw a topic out and they give the candidates X amount of minutes to reply, and then there's a retort and all that stupid shit. But I don't know. To be honest, I'm really all pretty unplugged from this sort of like mainstream media, political stuff. I hold very little stock in it. I think, like I said earlier, like a lot of it's fake. I firmly believe that the results of the election are already in. The order in which the states are going to be called and which candidate they're going to be called for is already known, and it's all brilliantly woven together so that the people who are going to be hanging on like news networks like this, like CNN, they're going to be so entertained on election day. There's going to be highs and lows. It's going to be orchestrated to pit people against each other on social media. It's really going to be just like, it's going to be a masterpiece. It's going to be so entertaining, It's not going to be real. It's not going to be true. The total vote numbers aren't going to reflect ballots cast or the will of the American people. You're not having a say in how the world's largest economy, the world's largest military, the world's only remaining standing superpower. You don't have a say in how that's ran. When you go into that voting booth and press that button, that's all you're doing. You're just pressing a button. That number doesn't mean anything at the end of the day. You're lucky if those big boxy Dominion machines even like record it. It's no. But I may be a little bit more pilled than the average person. Maybe a lifetime of experience has just driven the cynicism so deeply into my personality that I just can't stop it from flowing out. But CNN, where this debate is supposed to be held, has a timer here. We're looking at 2 minutes and 16 seconds. Now, I'm trying to stream it here from CNN because I think that's like the polite thing to do. I'm absolutely positive that it's going to be streamed also on YouTube, but I know it's sort of rude to like stream another stream, like double stream YouTube content. It's just looked down like in the creator community, So I mean, I don't really want to do that. I'd much rather stream it from the source. But if I can't find like a good, like if the player is shitty or if the sound is shitty, I don't mind hopping on YouTube because I'm sure CNN has a channel there and they'll be airing this shit as well. Actually, maybe I should even friggin' queue that up. All right, hold on. Let's see what's happening over in the land of YouTube. I'll try not to blast you guys with the sound too. So when this friggin', I don't know, man, when this tragedy starts to unfold, if the noise is too loud, let me know. Why is this shit so friggin' slow to load here? Oh, Pipkin Pippa. I love Pipkin Pippa. Oh, God, love her. All right. You'd think they would have... Aha. Oh, yeah, and this is the CNN channel. All right. We'll keep this in the ready just in case the shit on the CNN site doesn't jam. And if that turns out to be shitty, we'll come bang this out. But let's go back over here. All right, we got 30 seconds, so let's see what these guys have to offer. All right. That, and if you guys want to do a little bit of favor and spread the stream link around, that'd be greatly appreciated. You know, like throw it up and down your Gab or your social media profiles, whatever. I mean, it'd definitely be great to get as many people here as possible, just to get some perspective and get some shit going. All right. All right, the timer just went off. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, am I supposed to click? I just clicked on this. Oh, all right. Where in the absolute fuck is it, though? All right, is this it up here? Watch, yes. An ad? No, watch. I don't want ads. All right. What the fuck? Oh, this is so weak. Your player is shit, CNN. I almost already want to bang over to YouTube. This is just a production. I don't want to watch a video about... Who the fuck is even this guy? I don't care what he has to say. Is this the... Star Trek? No. Alright. Oh. That's what I want right here. I don't give a shit what this guy says. Weren't we just here? Oh man, this is getting tricky. Where is it? Where's the Parmesan cheese, Uncle One Two? Hey Magoo, I'm down for this shit show and I'm bringing people with me. Hey, thanks a lot, Screwhead. If we can even find it, like where is it? Is this the debate? Because these are just crappy little videos. I don't care about any of this. All right, hold on. Let's see what YouTube has going on. CNN is just such shit. All right. All right. We're going to watch this. Screw you, CNN. You're out of there. All right, guys. Oh, we got a party. All right. Put the volume up a little. Let me know how the volume level is for you guys. Oh god. Oh god. Come on, man. This is going to be a good time. It's going to be a good time. Oh man, I bounced out of friggin' full screen mode. Alright. Oh man, I got some stuff whipping through the chat here. Let me get to it. Rumble is down, by the way. Very coincidental. Oh, no shit. Oh, Scurvy Wench, welcome to the stream. Always a pleasure to have you stop by. There will be a 2-minute delay as the conspiracy theory launches. Christopher Helms. Crowd of stream on Rumble. Rumble shit to bed. We're live from Georgia, a key battleground state in the... Oh, you were just streaming on Rumble and you got kicked? Oh, that's shit. That's shit. You'd think that they're, either they got torn down or, like, their infrastructure just isn't, like, stout enough to handle it. That sucks either way, man, you know? This is the CNN presidential debate. This is a mess.
This debate is being produced by CNN and is coming to you live on CNN, CNN International, CNN.
Oh, CNN is just such shit.
This is a pivotal moment between President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump in their rematch for the nation's highest office. Each will make his case to the American
All right,
people.
how's,
with just over 4 months
oh,
until
man.
Election day.
I'm trying to look over my shoulder
Anchor of CNN's Inside Politics
at how my stream's coming in, and it's all choppy and
I'm Jim
shitty.
Tapper, anchor of CNN's The Lead and co-anchor of State of the Union. Dana and I will co-moderate this evening. Our job
Oh, man.
is to facilitate a debate.
Oh, now I'm
between
buffering and
the
everything. Man,
candidates
this
tonight.
shit needs
Before
to
we
catch
introduce
up.
them, we want to share the rules of the debate with the audience at home. Former President Trump will be on the left side of the screen. President Biden will be appearing on the right.
Oh, man,
According
it's all
to
choppy and
determine their
shitty.
positions. Each
It,
candidate will have 2
is it
minutes
just
to
my
speak.
replay monitor, or is this
And
stream
1 minute each for
crapping out for you guys,
responses
too?
and rebuttals.
Throw something in the
An
chat. Let me
additional
know if
minute
it's
for
running
follow-up
well.
Clarification or response is at the moderator's discretion.
When it's time for a candidate to speak, his microphone will be turned on and his opponent's microphone will be turned off. Should a candidate interrupt when his microphone is muted, he will be difficult to understand for viewers at home. At the end of the debate, each candidate will get 2 minutes for closing statements.
All right.
There is no studio audience tonight.
No
Pre-written
studio
notes,
audience.
Props or contact with campaign staff are not permitted during the debate. By accepting our invitation to debate, both candidates and their campaigns agreed to accept these rules.
Now, please welcome.
I don't know, man. I don't like the idea that they said that they could cut each other's mic. All right, there he is. All right, man. He looks a little stumbly. He looks a little. What do you think?
And please welcome the
Do you think that's really him? Do you think it's like an imposter, an android? I don't know. Debate audio is fine despite the choppiness. Man, I hope it catches up. Let me try to lower the quality of. All right. Let me try to drop the quality of this so that the stream runs a little bit better.
President Biden, inflation has slowed, but prices remain high. Since you took office, the price of essentials has increased. For example, a basket of groceries that cost $100 then now costs more than $120. And typical home prices
He's
have jumped
juiced
more than
Uncle
30%.
1-2.
What do you say to voters who feel they are worse off under your presidency than they were under President Trump?
We got to take a look at what I was left when I became president, what Mr. Trump left me.
He's not
We had
sounding
an
too
economy that
good.
was in free fall. The pandemic was so badly handled. Many people were dying. All he said was, it's not that serious. Just inject a little bleach in your arm. You'll be all right. The economy collapsed. There were no jobs. Unemployment rate rose to 15%. It was terrible. And so what we had to do was try to put things back together again. And that's exactly what we began to do. We created 15,000 new jobs. We brought out a position where we have 800,000 new manufacturing jobs. But there's more to be done. There's more to be done. Working class people are still in trouble. I come from Scranton, Pennsylvania. I come of households where the kitchen tables, things weren't able to be met during the month. It was a problem.
Always got to
This-
bring
this-
up
this-
his past in
this-
every
this-
speech.
housing,
Every time
this-
this guy
every-
opens up his mouth,
That's
he's,
why I'm working so hard
I was
to make
born
sure
here. I was
deal
raised
with
by
those
them.
problems. And we're going to make sure that we reduce the price of housing. We're going to make sure we build 2 million new units. We're going to make sure we cap rents so corporate greed can't take over. The combination that I was left with in corporate greed is the reason why we're in this problem right now. In addition to that, we're in a situation where if you take a look at all that was done in his administration, he didn't do much at all. By the time he left, things were in chaos, literally chaos. And so we put things back together. We created, I said, those jobs. We make sure we had a situation where we brought down the price of prescription drugs, which is a major issue for many people, to $15 for an insulin shot as opposed to $400. No senior has to pay more than $200 for any drug, all the drugs they can include beginning next year. And the situation is, and we're going to make that available to everybody, to all Americans. So we're working to bring down the price of around the kitchen table, and that's what we're going to get done.
Dude, he's banging that out like he had time to practice
We had
that
the greatest
answer.
economy in the history of our country. And we have never done so well. Everybody was amazed by it. Other countries were copying us. We got hit with COVID, and when we did, we spent the money necessary so we wouldn't end up in a Great Depression, the likes of which we had in 1929. By the time we finished, so we did a great job. We got a lot of credit for the economy, a lot of credit for the military, and no wars, and so many other things. Everything was rocking good.
All right.
But the thing we never got
The
credit
stream
for,
seems
and
like
we
it's
should
coming in a
have,
little
is
bit
getting us
smoother
out of
now.
that
Is it
COVID
still
mess.
skipping for you guys?
He created mandates that was a disaster for our country, but other than that, we had given them back a country where the stock market actually was higher than pre-COVID, and nobody thought that was even possible. The only jobs he created are for illegal immigrants and bounce-back jobs, a bounce-back from the COVID.
Looks like
He
it's
has
coming
not
in a
done
little
good
better.
job. He's done a poor job, and inflation's killing our country. It is absolutely killing us.
Thank you. President Biden?
Well, look, the greatest economy in the world. He's the only one who thinks that, I think. I don't know anybody else who thinks that he had the greatest economy in the
It
world.
was before you old fuck.
know, the fact of the matter is that we found ourselves in a situation where his economy, he rewarded the wealthy. He had the largest tax cut in American history, $2 trillion. He raised a deficit larger than any president has in any one term.
He's seriously
only
juiced.
president
I'm
ever
noticing a
who's
shitload of
ever
eye
done
blinks.
that.
Like when he blinks, it's almost
Since
like
Herbert Hoover.
a mini
And I
fucking
he did
seizure.
something that was significant in the military. You know, when he was president, they were still killing people in Afghanistan. He didn't do anything about that. When he was president, we still found ourselves in a position where you had a notion that we were this safe country. Truth is, I'm the only president this century that doesn't have this decade, that doesn't have any troops dying anywhere in the world like he did.
President Trump. I
What?
wanna follow
How
up
could
if
you
I
even
can.
make
You
that
are-
Allowed to
claim?
respond to him?
Well, I'm going to ask you a follow-up. You can do whatever you want with the minute that we give you. I want to follow
That's
up. You
pretty
want to
fucking
impose a
rude of this.
10% tariff on all goods coming into the U.S. How will you ensure that that doesn't drive prices even higher?
It's not going to drive them higher. It's just going to cost countries that have been ripping us off for years, like China and many others, in
China.
all fairness to China. It's
China.
going to just force them to pay us a lot of money, reduce our deficit tremendously, and give us a lot of power for other things. But he made a statement. The only thing he was right about is I gave you the largest tax cut in history. I also gave you the largest regulation cut in history. That's why we had all the jobs. And the jobs went down, and then they bounced
Excuse
back,
me.
and he's taking credit for bounce-back jobs. You can't do that. He also said he inherited 9% inflation. No, he inherited almost no inflation, and it stayed that way for 14 months. And then it blew up under his leadership because they spent money like a bunch of people that didn't know what they were doing, and they don't know what they were doing. It was the worst, probably the worst administration in history. There's never been. And as far as Afghanistan is concerned, I was getting out of Afghanistan, but we were getting out with dignity, with strength, with power. He got out. It was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country's life.
President Trump, over the last
I don't see
8
an
years,
earpiece
under
in
both
either
of your
candidate, so
administrations,
maybe
the national
Biden
debt
really is
soared
up
to
there
record
just winging
highs.
it.
And according to a new
Unless he has some
nonpartisan
sort of
analysis,
screen,
President Trump,
like,
your administration
embedded in
approved
this podium.
$8.4 trillion in new debt. Well, so far, President Biden, you've approved $4.3 trillion in new debt. So, former President Trump, many of the tax cuts that you signed into law are set to expire next year. You want to extend them and go even further, you say. With the U.S. facing trillion-dollar deficits and record debt, why should top earners and corporations pay even less in taxes than they do now?
Because the tax cuts spurred the greatest economy that we've ever seen just prior to COVID. And even after COVID, it was so strong that we were able to get through COVID much better than just about any other country. But we spurred, that tax spurred. Now, when we cut the taxes, as an example, the corporate tax was cut down to 21% from 39%, plus beyond that. We took in more revenue with much less tax, and companies were bringing back trillions of dollars back into our country. The country was going like never before, and we were ready to start paying down debt. We were ready to start using the liquid gold right under our feet, the oil and gas right under our feet. We were going to have something that nobody else has had. We got hit with COVID. We did a lot to fix it. I gave him an unbelievable situation with all of the therapeutics and all of the things that we came up with. We gave him something great. Remember, more people died under his administration, even though we had largely fixed it. More people died under his administration than our administration, and we were right in the middle of it, something which a lot of people don't like to talk about. But he had far more people dying in his administration. He did the mandate, which is a disaster, mandating it. The vaccine went out. He did a mandate on the vaccine, which is the thing that people most objected to about the vaccine. And he did a very poor job, just a very poor job. And I will tell you, not only poor there, but throughout the entire world, we're no longer respected as a country. They don't respect our leadership. They don't respect the United States anymore. We're like a third world nation between weaponization of his election, trying to go after his political opponent, all of the things he's done. We've become like a third world nation, and it's a shame. The damage he's done to our country, and I'd love to ask him, and will, why he allowed millions of people to come in here from prisons, jails, and mental institutions to come into our country and destroy our country.
President Trump, we will get to immigration later in this block. President Biden, I want to give you an opportunity to respond to this question about the national.
I'm watching Biden to see if like he's breathing heavy. I'm looking for the sign of the juicing. You know what I mean?
That $2 trillion tax cut benefited the very wealthy. What I'm going to do is fix the tax system. For example, we have 1,000 trillionaires in America. I mean, billionaires in America. And what's happening? They're in a situation where they, in fact, pay 8.2% in taxes. If they just paid 24%, 25%, either one of those numbers, they'd raise $500 billion, I should say, in a 10-year period. We'd be able to wipe out his debt. We'd be able to help make sure that all those things we need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our healthcare system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary
Just so I'm clear,
person,
is Biden saying he's going to triple the tax rate for billionaires?
With the COVID, excuse me.
No. Those are all his buddies. Those are all his Epstein Island visiting friends that he all hangs out with. He is not going to increase their tax rate. This is bullshit.
Biden, President Trump.
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare because all of these people are coming in. They're putting them on Medicare. They're putting them on Social Security. They're going to destroy Social Security. This man is going to single-handedly destroy Social Security. These millions and millions of people coming in, they're trying to put them on Social Security. He will wipe out Social Security. He will wipe out Medicare. So he was right in the way he finished that sentence, and it's a shame. What's happened to our country in the last 4 years is not to be believed. Foreign countries, I'm friends with a lot of people, they cannot believe what happened to the United States of America. We're no longer respected. They don't like us. We give them everything they want, and they think we're stupid. They think we're very stupid people. What we're doing for other countries, and they do nothing for us.
Rigged.
What this man has done is
Uncle One
absolutely
Tooth, he's
criminal.
got the lost look.
Thank you,
Yeah.
President Trump. Canna?
This is the
You know,
first presidential election since the Supreme Court
I think
overturned Roe v. Wade.
they friggin' they hit Biden hard with the juice and pushed him out on stage. And the longer that this rolls on for, it's going to start to wear off. And he's just going to start to blink fast and twitch a lot more. And he's going to lose it. Like halfway through the debate, you're going to see a huge like disposition change in him, I think.
Correct.
However, the federal government still plays a role in whether or
What
not
else?
women
Yeah.
have access to abortion pills.
He's going to triple taxes for
They're
everyone,
used
yeah.
in about 2/3 of all abortions.
Scurvy Wrench, she's got an earpiece. I'm looking for earpieces. I really couldn't see one.
First of all, the Supreme Court just approved the abortion bill.
Come on,
And I agree
Biden,
with
freak
their
out and
decision
start
to
biting
amend that,
something.
And I will not block it. And if you look at this whole question
Yeah.
that you're asking, complex but not really complex. 51 years
Let me
ago,
see. Let me look for
we
the.
had
Let me
Roe
look
v.
for the
Wade,
earpiece.
And everybody wanted to get it back to the states. Everybody, without exception. Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives.
Like you can see
Everybody
his
wanted to
ear
get the religious
pretty
leaders.
clear right there. His right ear. I don't see anything there. And his
Supreme
left.
Court justices on the court, and they happened to vote in favor of killing Roe v. Wade and moving it back to the states. This is something that everybody wanted. Now, 10 years ago or so, they started talking about how many weeks and how many this, and getting into other things. But every legal scholar throughout the world, the most respected, wanted it brought back
Look
to the
at this
states.
question.
They
The
didn't.
abortion
Now
question is
states
just
are
red
working
meat
it out.
for their
If you look at
liberal
Ohio,
base.
It was a decision that was
This is
an
just
end
shut-
result
such
that was a
shit.
little bit
Such
more
fake
liberal than you
news.
would have thought.
Such a
Kansas, I
loaded
would say the
question.
same thing.
So rigged it was
Texas
right
is
when that
different.
flew through
Florida's
the
different.
chat.
But they're all making their own decisions right now. And right now, the states control it. That's the vote of the people.
Girl
Like Ronald
Scouts.
Reagan, I believe in the exceptions. I am a person that believes. And frankly, I think it's important to
No, it'd be
believe in the
great
exceptions.
just
Some
to
people
show
have
how
to follow
feeble
the heart. Some
Biden
people
is.
don't believe in
It'd be
that.
great if, like,
But I believe in the
I don't know, man.
exceptions
Trump
for
brought just like some
differences
random
and
child out on
difference of
stage,
mother. I think
and
it's
just
very
Biden
important.
started to shuffle
People
through it,
follow
wanting
their
to
heart,
sniff
but
it.
You have to
You
get
know,
elected
oh,
also, and
I don't
because that
know.
has to do with other things. You got to get elected. The problem they have is they're radical because they will take the life of a child in the 8th month, the 9th month, and even after birth. After birth, if you look at the former governor of Virginia, he was willing to do this. He said, we'll put the baby aside and we'll determine what we do with the baby, meaning we'll kill the baby. What happened is we brought it back to the states, and the country is now coming together on this issue. It's been a great thing.
Thank you. President Biden?
It's been a terrible thing, what you've done. The fact is that the vast majority of constitutional scholars supported Roe when it was decided. Supported Roe. And that's this idea that they're all against it is just ridiculous. This is the guy who says the state should be able to have it. We're in a state where in 6 weeks, you don't even know whether you're pregnant or not, but you cannot see a doctor and have him decide on what your circumstances are, whether you need help. The idea
What the
that
fuck does that
states are
even
able to do
mean?
This is a little like saying we're going to turn civil rights back to the states. Let each state have a different rule. Look, there's so many young women who have been, including a young woman who just was murdered.
Oh, Miss Fiona, thanks for stopping by the show.
Idea that
Gab
she
Royalty,
was
yeah,
murdered by
yeah, you know, good account. Thanks for
women
stopping by.
coming in. They talk about that, but here's the deal: there's a lot of young women who are being raped by their in-laws, by their spouses.
I'm sitting here reading chat, and all of a sudden I look up Biden's talking about shit he's done to his own fucking niece. You hypocrite bastard.
Thank you.
There have been many young women.
How's he
murdered
gonna talk
by
about,
the
like,
same people
incest
he
and
allows
shit,
to
man?
come
You
across
done
our
diddled
border.
your own
We
family
have a
member.
border
You
that's the
see
most
now,
dangerous
fucking
place
potato.
anywhere in the dangerous place anywhere in the world. And he opened it up, and these killers are coming into our country, and they are raping and killing women. And it's a terrible thing. As far as the abortion is concerned, it is now back with the states. The states are voting. And in many cases, it's frankly a very liberal decision. In many cases, it's the opposite. But they're voting, and it's bringing it back to the vote of the people, which is what everybody wanted, including the founders, if they knew about this issue, which frankly they didn't. But they would have. Everybody wanted it brought back. Ronald Reagan wanted it brought back. He wasn't able to get it. Everybody wanted it brought back, and
Made the
many
account just
presidents
for
had
me.
tried to
Holy
get it
shit.
back.
I'm
I was
absolutely
going to
on
do
it.
And
Absolutely
again,
on
this
it.
was the vote of the people, and that's where they wanted it. Every legal scholar wanted it that way.
Biden is thinking about
On the
ice
topic
cream.
Of abortion, President
Ugh.
Biden, 7 states. I'll let you do that. This is at the same time. Have no legal restrictions on how far into a pregnancy a woman can obtain an abortion. Do you support any legal limits on how late a woman should be able to terminate a pregnancy?
I supported Roe v. Wade, which had 3 trimesters. First time is between the woman and the doctor. Second time is between the doctor and an extreme situation. The third time is between the doctor, between the woman and the state. The idea that the politicians...
What the fuck does that even
founders want
mean?
the politicians to be the ones making decisions about women's health is ridiculous.
Does anyone
It's the
understand
last-
what he's
no
talking
politician should be
about?
making that decision. A doctor should be making those decisions. That's how it should be run. That's
Did
what's
he
gonna
define
be-
a pregnancy
and the final
between
time
3
restore Roe v. Wade.
trimesters with like a woman, her doctor,
He
in the
can
state?
Take the life of the baby in the 9th month, and even after.
Maybe
birth,
I'm the
because some
retarded
states,
one.
Democrat
Maybe I don't speak
take it
potato,
after
but I
birth.
can't
Again,
follow
the
what this
governor,
guy's
former
even
governor of
saying.
Virginia, put the baby down, then we decide what to do with it. So he's willing, we say, rip the baby out of the womb in the 9th month and kill the baby. Nobody wants that to happen, Democrat or Republican. Nobody wants it to happen.
That is simply not true. The Roe v. Wade does not provide for
He's
that.
supposed to
That's
be
not the
muted
circumstance.
out. He's not
Who
supposed
is
to be
what
able
is
to
engaged,
respond
you're
like
gonna die.
that to
That's the
him.
only circumstance in which that can happen. But we are not for late-term abortion, period. Period, period.
Under Roe v. Wade, you have late-term abortion.
All right, yeah,
You
let
can
him
do
duke
whatever
out.
you want, depending on the state. You can do whatever you want. We don't think that's a good thing. We think it's a radical thing. We think the Democrats are the radicals, not the Republicans.
For 51 years, that was the law. 51 years, constitutional scholarship said it was the right way to go. 51 years, and it was taken away because this guy put very conservative members on the Supreme Court. He takes credit for taking it away. What's he going to do? What's he going to do, in fact, if the MAGA Republicans, he gets elected, and the MAGA Republicans control the Congress, and they pass a universal ban on abortion, period, across the board, at 6 weeks or 7 or 8 or 10 weeks, something very, very conservative. Is he going to sign that bill? I'll veto it. He'll sign it.
Thank you.
Let's turn now to the issue of immigration and border security. President Biden.
Oh, did they just mute Trump? Who are these two Yiddish fucks to mute and cut the mic on a former ex-president? You're just a journalist, you... Oh, my God. Like Trump was ready. You could see him. He was like... But nothing.
Because we worked very hard to get a bipartisan agreement that not only changed all of that.
And they're letting him go again. I don't like this, man. I don't like it.
No circumstance where they could come across the border with the number of border police there are now. We significantly increased the number of asylum officers. Significantly.
He's starting to slip. No one knows what he's talking about, even himself.
In addition to that, we find ourselves in a situation where when he was president, he was separating babies from their mothers, putting them in cages, making sure the families were separated. That's not the right way to go. What I've done since I've changed the law, what's happened? I've changed it in a way that now you're in a situation where there are 40% fewer people coming across the border legally. It's better than when he left office. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we can do with more border patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look,
finally,
we had the safest border in the history of our country. The border, all he had to do was leave it. All he had to do was leave it. He decided to open up our border, open up our country to people that are.
I keep waiting for Trump to drill him, just to fucking drill him, you know?
Terrorists. We have the largest number of terrorists coming into our country right now. All terrorists, all over the world, not just in South America, all over the world. They come from the Middle East, everywhere. All over the world, they're pouring in. And this guy just left it open. And he didn't need legislation, because I didn't have legislation. I said, close the border. We had the safest border in history. In that final...
Biden looks lost. Look at him.
We had, according to Border Patrol, who is... great.
Like,
by the way,
he stopped moving, like someone should shake. All right, there he goes. He, like, glitched the fuck out for a moment. Did you see it?
But, look, we had the safest border in history. Now we have the worst border in history. There's never been anything like it. And people are dying all over the place, including the people that are coming up in caravans.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden?
The only terrorist who's done anything across the border is one who came along and killed three, under his administration, killed an Al-Qaeda person come in his administration, kill three American soldiers. Kill 3 American soldiers. That's the only terrorist that's there. I'm not saying that no terrorist ever got through, but the idea they're emptying their prisons, we're welcoming these people, that's simply not true. There's no data to support what he said. Once again, he's exaggerating, he's lying.
President Trump, staying on the topic of immigration, you've said that you're going to carry out, quote, the largest domestic deportation operation in American history. Unquote.
Kick him the fuck out.
Does that mean that you will deport every undocumented immigrant in America, including those who have jobs, including those whose spouses are citizens, and including those who have lived here for decades? And if so, how will you do it?
Just 1 second.
By any means possible. GTFO. You don't belong here.
Al-Baghdadi and Soleimani. The 2 greatest terrorists, biggest terrorists anywhere in the world, and it had a huge impact on everything, not just border, on everything. He's the one that killed people with the bad water, including hundreds of thousands of people dying, and also killing our citizens when they come in. We are living right now in a rat's nest. They're killing our people in New York, in California, in every state in the union, because we don't have borders anymore. Every state is now a border. And because of his ridiculous, insane, and very stupid policies, people are coming in and they're killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen. We call it migrant crime. I call it Biden migrant crime. They're killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen before. And you're reading it like these 3 incredible young girls over the last few days. One of them, I just spoke to the mother, and he just had the funeral for this girl, 12 years old. This is horrible what's taken place. What's taken place in our country, we're literally an uncivilized country now. He doesn't want it to be. He just doesn't know. He opened the borders. Nobody's ever seen anything like. And we have to get a lot of these people out, and we have to get them out fast, because they're going to destroy our country. Just take a look at where they're living. They're living in luxury hotels in New York City and other places. Our veterans are on the street. They're dying because he doesn't care about our veterans. He doesn't care. He doesn't like the military at all, and he doesn't care about our veterans. Nobody been worse. I had the highest approval rating for veterans taking care of the VA He has the worst. He's got
Joe's getting mad, Miss Scurvy Wench. I don't think he's coherent enough to follow so many, like, points. You know what I mean? So he's just probably lost, like, mentally straining to follow the flow of Trump, you know? I don't think they're intellectually paired well here. He's just not cognitive enough.
President
It's a
Biden.
very sad day in America.
President Biden, you have the mic.
Every single thing he said is a lie.
Joe is so
Every single
confused.
one. For example, veterans are a hell of a lot better off since I passed the PACT Act. 1 million of them now have insurance, and their families have it. Their families have it because what happened, whether it was Agent Orange or burn pits, they're all being covered now. And his group opposed that. We're also in a situation where we have great respect for veterans. My son spent a year in Iraq, living right next to one of those burn pits, came back with stage 4 glioblastoma. I was recently in France for D-Day, and I spoke all about those heroes that died. I went to the World War I cemetery he refused to go to. He was standing with his 4-star general, and he told me, he said, I don't want to go in there because they're a bunch of losers and suckers. My son was not a loser, was not a sucker. You're the sucker. You're the loser.
Ooh.
President Trump.
First of all, that was a made-up quote, suckers and losers. They made it up. It was in a third-rate magazine that's failing, like many of these magazines. He made that up.
Joe got a little testy there. You see, it's like someone took his double scoop cone away from him. He was just like,
at a cemetery, or I'm talking about our veterans, because nobody's taken better care. I'm so glad this came up.
fuck
and he
that
brought it up.
guy.
There's nobody that's taken better care of our soldiers than I have.
It's a nuclear disaster
That I
for
would, in
Joe.
front of generals and
They
others,
have
say,
to pull him.
suckers and
Yeah.
losers. We have 19 people.
Yeah, he's going to
It
crack.
was never
You can
said
already
by
see
me.
it, you
It
know?
was made up by him, just like Russia was made up, just like the 51 intelligence agents are made up, just like the new thing with the 16 economists are talking. It's the same thing. 51 intelligence agents said that the laptop was Russia disinformation. It wasn't. That came from his son, Hunter. It wasn't Russia disinformation.
Yes, hit him with Hunter.
He made up the suckers and losers, so he should apologize to me right now.
4-star general standing to your side who was on your staff who said you said,
Trump should march over to him and
That's
just
number one.
backhand
And
him.
number
Just
two,
straight
the
smack
idea-
the fire
the
out
idea
that
I
old
have to
friggin'
apologize
senile
for
prick.
anything along the line. We've done more for veterans than any president has in American history. And they now are their family. The only sacred obligation we have as a country is to care for our veterans when they come home and their families and equip them when they go to war. That's what we're doing. That's what the VA is doing now. They're doing more for veterans than ever before in our history.
All right. Thank you so much.
The topic of foreign policy. I want to begin with Russia's war against Ukraine, which is now in its 3rd year. Former President Trump, Russian President
All right.
Vladimir Putin
see
says
here.
he'll only end this war.
The format
if
might
Russia
actually
keeps
be
the
working in
Ukrainian
Trump's
territory it has
favor.
already claimed.
Does Joe have
And
the
Ukraine
stamina? Uncle One Tooth,
abandons
no, he
its bid
doesn't.
to join
Yeah,
NATO.
Miss Fiona just says
Are
no.
Putin's terms acceptable
Miss
to you?
Scurry
First
Wench,
of
Miss
all,
Scurry Wench says
Our
no.
veterans
No,
and our soldiers can't stand this guy.
nah.
They
He's
can't
definitely
stand
juiced
him.
up,
They think he's
you
the
know.
worst
And whatever they
commander-in-chief,
pumped him up
that's
with
what you
is
call him,
slowly starting to
that
fade,
we've
and
ever
he's
had.
finding
They
it
can't stand
harder
him.
to,
So let's get that straight.
you know,
And they
to
like
go
me more
forward,
than
to
just
keep
about any
competing.
of
You
them.
know, he's gonna hit a
It's
wall.
based
He's
on
just gonna
every
break.
single bit of information. As
He's
far
already
as
starting to
Russia and
spit out
Ukraine,
like
if
just
we had a real
rambling
president,
word
the
salad
president
anyway.
who
Sooner or
was
later, it's just
respected by Putin,
it's just not going to be.
he would have
You,
never,
you,
he
you
would
won't be
have
able to
never
follow it.
invaded Ukraine. A lot of people are dead right now, much more than people know. You know, they talk about numbers. You can double those numbers, maybe triple those numbers. He did nothing to stop it. In fact, I think he encouraged Russia from going in. I'll tell you what happened. He was so bad with Afghanistan. It was such a horrible embarrassment, most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, that when Putin watched that and he saw the incompetence, that he should have fired those generals, like I fired the one that you mentioned. And so he's got no love lost. But he should have fired those generals. No general got fired for the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, Afghanistan, where we left billions of dollars of equipment behind. We lost 13 beautiful soldiers, and 38 soldiers were obliterated. And by the way, we left people behind, too. We left American citizens behind. When Putin saw that, he said, you know what? I think we're going to go in and maybe take this was his dream. I talked to him about it, his dream. The difference is he never would have invaded Ukraine. Never. Just like Israel would have never been invaded in a million years by Hamas. You know why? Because Iran was broke with me. I wouldn't let anybody do business with them. They ran out of money. They were broke. They had no money for Hamas. They had no money for anything. No money for terror. That's why you had no terror at all during my administration. This place, the whole world is blowing up under him.
Yeah, pretty much.
President
So.
Biden?
Never heard so much malarkey in my whole life. Look, the fact of the matter is that we're in a situation where, let's take the last point first. Iran attacked American troops, caused brain damage for a number of these troops, and he did nothing about it. Recently, not when he was president. Here they attacked. He said they're just having headaches. That's all it is. He didn't do a thing when the attack took place, number one. Number two, we got over 100,000 Americans and others out.
It almost
of-
looked
of
like he just
Afghanistan
looked down at his
during that
desk
area.
to like
Number
look up
three,
notes or
we found
something.
ourselves in a situation where, if you take a look at what Trump did in Ukraine, this guy told Trump, do whatever you want, and do whatever you want. And that's exactly what Trump did to Putin, encourage him, do whatever you want. And he went in. And listen to what he said when he went in. He was going to take Kyiv in 5 days, remember? Because it's part of the old Soviet Union. That's what he wanted to reestablish, Kyiv. And he, in fact, didn't do it at all. He wasn't able to get it done. And they've lost thousands and thousands of troops, 500,000 troops.
President Trump,
I
if
never
come back
said
to you
that.
for 1 minute, I just want to go back to my original question, which is, are Putin's terms acceptable to you?
She's got horse face a little bit,
No, they're not
doesn't she?
acceptable. But look,
I mean, a
this
little
is
bit.
A war that never should have started.
I've
If
seen
we had
worse
a leader
horse
in this
face,
war,
but she has
he
it
let
like
everybody
a little.
along. He's given $200 billion now or more to Ukraine.
By
He's
and
given
far,
$200
liberal women are
billion.
pretty
That's
freaking
a
ugly,
lot of money.
you
I
know.
don't think there's ever been
Both of
anything
them, the
like
ones
that.
with
Every time
penises and the ones with
Zelensky comes to
vaginas.
this
It's just
country, he
liberal
walks
women.
around
Just
$60 billion.
they're not
It's the
ranking
greatest
in the
salesman
beauty
ever.
department, you
And
know.
I'm not knocking him. I'm not knocking anything. I'm only saying the money that we're spending on this war, and we shouldn't be spending. It should have never happened. I will have that war settled between Putin and Zelensky as president-elect before I take office on January 20th. I'll have that war settled.
Screwhead throws out in chat. Trump isn't looking that great, but Biden is about to explode. Yeah, man,
before I take office.
Biden, you have a minute.
I've been waiting for Trump to hammer him. You know what I mean? To just like throw out the dementia shit, throw out his physical and mental state, throw out the laptop, throw out the 10% for the big guy. I keep waiting for him to fucking nail him. But he's staying political. You know what I mean? It's not like he's brawling. You know. That's not Trump's style. You know, he should be throwing the fucking gloves off and just
And so if
banging
we're in a
them.
war, you ought to find out what he's going to do, because if in fact he does what he says and walks away, by the way, all
I'm
that
lighting my
money we
desk
give
on fire
Ukraine,
over
the
here.
Weapons we make here in the United States, we give them the weapons, not the money at this point. And our NATO allies have produced as much funding for Ukraine as we have. That's why we're strong.
Thank you. Moving on to the Middle East.
Modesty,
In October,
Fiona. There's
Hamas
plenty of time for the
attacked
wheels to
Israel,
come off the
killing
bus.
more than 1,000 people and taking hundreds of hostages. Among those held and thought to still be alive are 5 Americans. Israel's response has killed thousands of Palestinians and created a humanitarian
Oh, now here
crisis in
comes the
Gaza.
Jewish love.
President Biden, you've put forward a proposal to resolve this conflict, but so far Hamas has not released the remaining hostages, and Israel is continuing its military offensive in Gaza. So what additional leverage will you use to get
Did you
Hamas
really
and
think we were
Israel
going to get
and
through a
the war
debate
to
without them
weapons?
giving
Number
each
one.
candidate an opportunity to
Everyone
cuck
from
for
the
Israel?
United Nations
This is like a pause button. They're like, stop the debate. Each one of you drop to your knees and fellatiate the fucking Star of David. This is uncalled for.
Which has 3 stages to it. The first stage is trade.
Fucking Israel questions. Israel is not a concern to huge amounts of Americans. No one gives a fuck about that little patch of the sandbox. Stop giving them money. Stop giving them weapons. Stop allowing them to terrorize their fucking neighbors. Leave them be. You know what I mean? We don't need to have a relationship with them. They are not our allies. They are not our friends. They are not our fucking people.
Was 2,000-pound bombs. They don't work very well in populated areas.
Oh,
That's
man,
why
this
innocent
is
people
where
are
politics
providing
falls
Israel
apart.
all the weapons they need and when they need them. And by the way, I'm the guy that organized the world against Iran when they had a full-blown intercontinental
Sorry.
ballistic missile
I hope I
attack
didn't
on
scream that
Israel.
into the
No one was
microphone.
hurt. No one Israeli was accidentally killed, and it just stopped. We saved Israel. We are the biggest
Biden
producer
speaking about
of
brain
support for
damage.
Israel of anyone in the world. And so they're two different things. Hamas cannot be allowed to be continued. We continue to send our experts and our intelligence people as to how they can get Hamas like we did bin Laden. You don't have to do it. And by the way, they've been greatly weakened, Hamas, greatly weakened, and they should be. They should be eliminated. But you've got to be careful for what using certain weapons among population centers.
Just going back to Ukraine for 1 second. We have an ocean separating us. The European nations together have spent $100 billion, or maybe more than that, less than us. Why doesn't he call them and say, you got to put up your money like I did with NATO? I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars. The Secretary General of NATO said Trump did the most incredible job I've ever seen. They wouldn't have any. They were going out of business. We were spending almost 100% of the money was paid by us. He didn't do that.
He is reading notes.
You got to ask these people to put up the money. We're over $100 billion.
Scurvy Wunsch throws up in the chat. He is reading notes. I seen him earlier. They cut to like a side view that he was waving a pen around. So I mean, yeah. See, like right there, he's got a pen in his right hand. But I mean, there's no way he's pulling shit out of his out of his mind and writing down useful notes. He's got to be being fed it. That's why I've been looking for like an earpiece the whole debate.
President Biden, you have a minute.
I've never heard so much foolishness. This is a guy who wants to get out of NATO. You're going to stay in NATO? He's going to pull out of NATO. The idea that we have our strength lies in our alliances as well. It may be a big ocean, but we're ever able to avoid a war in Europe, a major war in Europe? What happens if, in fact, you have Putin continuing to go into NATO? We have an Article 5 agreement. Attack on one is attack on all. You want to start the nuclear war he keeps talking about, go ahead. Let Putin go in and control Ukraine and then move on to Poland and other places. See what happens then. He has no idea what the hell he's talking about. And by the way, I got 50 other nations around the world to support Ukraine, including Japan and South Korea, because they understand that this kind of dislocation has a serious threat to the whole
Japan
world.
and South Korea really
No
aren't the
major
best
war in Europe has ever
example.
been able to
Whatever.
contain just to Europe.
Whatever.
President Trump, just to follow up, would you support the creation of an independent Palestinian state in order to achieve peace in the region?
They're almost
before they do
redirecting
that,
Trump away from his
problem
talking
we have
points.
is that we spend all the money. So they kill us on trade. I made great trade deals with the European nations because if you add them up, they're about the same size economically. Their economy is about the same size as the United States. And they were no cars, they don't want anything that we have, but we're supposed to take their cars, their food, their everything, their agriculture. I changed that. But the big thing I changed is they don't want to pay. And the only reason that he can play games with NATO is because I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars. I said, and he's right about this, I said, no, I'm not going to support NATO if you don't pay.
All right.
They asked me that question, would you guard us against Russia at a very secret meeting of the 28 states? at that
Chris
time,
Helms, a
nations at that time.
teleprompter on
And
his
they said, no, if you
podium.
don't
That's what
pay,
I was
I
thinking
won't do
too.
that.
You
And
know,
what happened?
it
Billions and
he's
billions
got to
of
be
dollars
being
came flowing
coached
into
somehow,
tax day in the next months.
some fucking way.
But
You
now
know.
we're in the same position. We're paying everybody's
Thank you.
bills.
Let's turn to the issue of democracy. Former President Trump, I want to ask you about January 6, 2021. After you rallied your supporters that day, some of them stormed the Capitol to stop the constitutionally mandated counting of electoral votes. As president, you swore an oath to, quote, preserve, protect, and defend, unquote, the Constitution. What do you say to voters who believe
This
that you
might be it for
violated that
Joe.
oath
This is
through your
brutal.
actions and inaction on January 6th and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I don't think too many believe that. And let me tell you about
I'm
January
sorry,
6th.
Screwhead. I try not
On
to scream
January
into the
6th,
mic. You know, I really do.
Nobody
I
coming
don't
through,
know.
very few.
I'll try to like
On
put some
January
sort of
6th,
filter
we're
on it that
energy
regulates,
independent.
you know,
January
like
6th,
my
we had the
peak
lowest
levels
taxes
and
ever.
stuff. But
We had the
I don't
lowest
know.
regulations
We're not
ever.
about
On
quality or
January 6th,
technical
we were respected
expertise
all
here
over
at
the
this
world.
channel. I'm sorry,
all over the
man.
world we were respected. And then he comes in, and we're now laughed at. We're like a bunch of stupid people. That what happened to the United States' reputation under this man's leadership is horrible, including weaponization, which I'm sure at some point you'll be talking about, where he goes after his political opponent because he can't beat him fair and square.
You have 80 seconds left. My question was, what do you say to those voters who believe that you violated your constitutional oath through your actions and inaction on January 6, 2021, and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I didn't say that to anybody. I said peacefully and patriotically. And Nancy Pelosi, if you just watched the news from 2 days ago, on tape to her daughter, who's a documentary filmmaker, like they say, but she's saying, no, it's my responsibility. I was responsible for this. Because I offered her 10,000 soldiers or National Guard, and she turned them down. And the mayor in writing, by the way, the mayor, in writing, turned it down, the mayor of D.C. They turned it down. I offered 10,000 because I could see, I had virtually nothing to do. They asked me to go make a speech. I could see what was happening. Everybody was saying they're going to be there on January 6th. They're going to be there. And I said, you know what? There's a lot of people coming. You could feel it. You could feel it too, and you could feel it. And I said, they ought to have some National Guard or whatever. And I offered it to her. And she now admits that she turned it down. And it was the same day she was, I don't know, she can't be very happy with her daughter because it made her into a liar. She said, I take full responsibility for January 6th.
President Biden?
Look, he encouraged those folks to go up on Capitol Hill, number one. I sat in the dining room off the Oval Office. He sat there for 3 hours watching, begging, being begged by his vice president and a number of his colleagues on the Republican side as well to do something, to call for a stop, to end it. Instead, they talked about these people being patriots and great patrons of America. In fact, he says he'll now forgive them for what they've done. They've been convicted. He says he wants to commute their sentences.
They've done nothing wrong.
No. He went to every single court in the nation. I don't know how many cases, scores of cases, including the Supreme Court. And they said, no, this guy is responsible for doing what was done. He did do a damn thing. And these people should be in jail. And they should be the ones who are being held accountable. And he wants to let them all out. And now he says
they literally walked through the tour of the Capitol building. That's all they
Thank you,
did.
President Biden. President Trump?
What they've done to some people that are so innocent, you ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Yes.
What you have done, how you've destroyed the lives of so many
He
people.
could have had a better response to this too, man. You could have acted.
Ripped down many other cities. You go to Minnesota.
I don't know, man.
Minneapolis,
That's
what
one
they've done
criticism of
with
him
the
I can
fires
say is
all
that he
over the
could have
city. If I
done
didn't
he
bring
could have
in the
did more
National
for
Guard,
those
that city would
people.
have been
He still could be
destroyed.
doing more for them.
When you look at all of they took over big chunks of Seattle. I was all set to bring in the National Guard. They heard that. They saw them coming, and they left immediately. What he said about this whole subject is so off. Peacefully patriotic. One other thing. The Unselect Committee.
The two are so disrespectful, referring to Trump as former president. Yeah.
Out of office. And Democrats,
Screwhead, they're trying hard to
they
screw Trump and
destroyed
remain
and
fair
deleted
to their
all of
useful
the
idiots.
information They found because they found
It,
out we were right. We were right.
Yeah, I
And
feel
they
the
deleted and
moderators are
destroyed
trying to
all of the
drive
information.
the
They should go to
debate a
jail
little
for
bit.
that. If a Republican did that, they'd go to
Thank
jail.
you, President Trump. President Biden, I want to give you a
Fucking
minute.
doorknob.
The only person on this stage is
Biden is just parroting talking points, yeah.
And the fact of
That's
the
probably
matter
the
is,
only reason why he's getting them out is because he's just so used to like
fact
fucking
is that
puking
there
that
was
bullshit
no
out.
effort on his part to stop what was going on up in Capitol Hill.
Shh,
And all
be
those
quiet,
people,
Mugu,
every
I'm
one of those were
sorry.
Convicted, to turned over desks, to turn them over statues. The idea that those people are patriots, come on. When I asked him the first two debates we had, first time around, I said, will you denounce the Proud Boys? He said, no, I'll tell them to stand by. The idea he's refusing, will you denounce these guys? Will you denounce the people we're talking about now? Will you denounce the people who attacked that Capitol? What are you going to do?
I'm going to give you a minute, President Trump, for a follow-up question I have.
What?
After a jury
How
convicted
could you
you
let
of
him
34
fucking
felonies
drop
last
that
night,
and then
you
just
said
be
the
like, you know
director,
what?
quote,
Don't
"had
answer
every right
that.
to go after,"
How
unquote,
about
your
this
political
question instead?
opponents. You just
Fuck
talked
him.
about members of the Select Committee on January
How are you
6th
going to let
in jail.
Biden drop a
The
soundbite
Unselect
like
opponent
that
is standing on
and then
stage
fucking
tonight.
stonewall
Can you
Trump's
clarify
answer?
exactly what it means about you feeling you have every right to go after your political opponents?
Well, I said my retribution is going to be success. We're going to make this country successful again because right now it's a failing nation. My retribution is going to be success. But when he talks about a convicted felon, his son is a convicted felon. at a very high level. His son is convicted, going to be convicted probably numerous other times. Should have been convicted before, but his Justice Department let
Krista Helms. Will
limitations
Biden
lapse.
denounce
The most important
Antifa?
thing.
Will he denounce
But
the
could be
Black
convicted for
Lives
things
Matter
he gets out of
riots,
office.
the
Joe could be
looting, the
convicted for
burning, and the
all of
murder?
things
You
that he's
know,
done. He's done horrible
Just
things.
hypocrite
All
bullshit.
of the death caused at the border, telling the Ukrainian people that we're going to want $1 billion or you change the prosecutor, otherwise you're not getting $1 billion. If I ever said that, that's quid pro quo. That we're not going to do anything. We're not going to give you $1 billion unless you change your prosecutor having to do with the son. This man is a criminal. This man, you're lucky. You're lucky. I did nothing wrong. We'd have a system that was rigged and disgusting. I did nothing wrong.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, you have said, I'm coming right to you, sir. You want to respond? Go ahead. I'll give you a minute to respond.
The idea.
Did you see that? All right. Just literally 1 minute ago, Biden threw a banger out, right? And when Trump was chomping at the bit to bite him fucking alive, they stopped, redirected him, and gave him a changing question. He just did it, and they're like, okay, Mr. Biden, here's your chance to respond. How fucking unfair can this be?
Think of all the civil penalties you have. How many billions of dollars do you owe in civil penalties?
This is shit. This is such shit. CNN is just...
For doing a whole range of things. Of having
Guys, I'm
sex with a
sorry.
porn star on the night while your wife was pregnant. I mean, what are you talking about? You have the morals of an alley cat.
Give you a minute, sir.
I didn't have sex with a porn star, number one. Number two, that was a case that was started and moved. They moved a high-ranking official, a DOJ, into the Manhattan DA's office to start that case. That case is going to be appealed and won. We had a very terrible judge, a horrible judge, Democrat. The prosecutor were all high-ranking Democrats, appointed people, and both the civil and the criminal. He basically went after his political opponent because he thought it was going to damage me. But when the public found out about these cases, because they understand it better than he does, he has no idea what these cases are. But when they found out about these cases, you know what they did? My poll numbers went up, way up. You know that because you're reporting it. And we took in more money in the last 2 weeks than we've ever taken in the history of any campaign. I don't think any campaign has ever taken. Hundreds of millions of dollars came pouring in because the public knows it's a scam and it's a guy that's after his political opponent because he can't win fair and square.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden.
The minute Biden brought up Stormy, if I was Trump, I would have been like, you're talking about me having sex with a porn star when you diddled your own fucking niece in the shower, buddy. Who are you to speak of morality?
Will be voting against American democracy?
Oh.
The more they know about what he's done.
If I was Trump, I would have been banging porn stars hourly. It was a different era back then. He was probably sitting on piles of cocaine. Oh man, it was a different age back then. You can't hold him banging friggin' silicone blonde fuck dolls against him. It was, you know, I mean, not that. It's whatever. It's excusable. What he did in the shower with his own flesh and fucking blood is a sin. It is a literal sin.
Charlottesville, Virginia. People coming out of the woods carrying swastikas on torches.
Did you say swastikas?
And singing the same anti-Semitic bile they sang when back in Germany.
Swastikas?
And the young woman got killed. I spoke to the mother, and they asked him. They said, "What do you think of those people? The people the ones who got killed, the one who tried to stop it, and the ones he said, I think they're fine people on both sides." What?
I'm sorry,
American
Scary
president
Wench.
would ever say? Nazis coming out of fields carrying torches, singing the same anti-Semitic bile, carrying swastikas. We're fine people. This is the guy who says Hitler's done some good things. I'd like to know what they are. The good things Hitler's done, that's what he said. This guy has no sense of American democracy.
President Trump.
Jake, both of you know that, sir, has been totally wiped out because when you see the sentence, it said 100% exoneration on this. So he just keeps it going. He says he ran because of Charlottesville. He didn't run because of Charlottesville. He ran because it was his last chance. He's not equipped to be president. You know it, and I know it. It's ridiculous. We have a debate. We're trying to justify his presidency. His presidency, he's without question the worst president, the worst presidency in the history of our country. We shouldn't be having a debate about it. There's nothing to debate. He made up the Charlottesville story, and you'll see it's debunked all over the place. Every anchor every reasonable anchor has debunked it. And just the other day it came out where it was fully debunked. It's a nonsense story. He knows that, and he didn't run because of Charlottesville. He used that as an excuse to run.
President Biden?
And debunked. It happened. All you have to do is listen to what was said at the time. And the idea that somehow that's the only reason I ran. I ran because I was
the
worried
Charlottesville
about this guy
Nazis
being
are bad.
elected.
The
If he
Ukrainian
thought
Nazis
they
are
were
good.
people coming out of that all.
If there were
forest, carrying
people,
those,
like flying
carrying those torches,
swastikas at
then he didn't
Charlottesville,
deserve to be
that
president.
would be the
Didn't
picture
deserve
that
to
the
be
media would
president at all.
use, and not
And
the picture of them
idea
walking
that
around
he's
with the
talking
tiki
about,
torches.
all
You
this
know,
being fabricated. We
Just-
saw with our
just
own eyes.
saying.
We saw what happened on January 6th. We saw the people breaking through the windows. We saw people occupying his own vice president. Look, there's a reason why 40 of his 44 top cabinet officers refused to endorse him this time. His vice president hasn't endorsed him this time. So why? Why? They know him well. They serve with him. Why are they not endorsing him?
Thank you, President Biden. We're going to be right back with more from the CNN presidential debate.
oh God, we don't need to be putting you guys through some CNN commercials. But let me mute this real quick until they come back. But what do you guys think of the debate, real quick, while they're throwing some ads up here in the meantime? You know, I bet right now Biden is shuffling off stage, and they're just jamming him with more like adrenochrome and all sorts of shit. But oh wait, we got people back here. What are they? Oh, whoops. Oh, nope, still a break. But yeah, man, I bet they're pulling Biden backstage right now and are shooting him up with more like adrenochrome and whatever, man, Ritalin, fucking speedball. You know, they're definitely friggin' shuffling something through his veins to keep him up and going. It really, I expected to see a more feeble Joe Biden, you know, more like stumbling around his words and everything. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's bad. He's throwing a lot of word salad out there. Like, I can't understand half the shit that's coming out that senior citizen's mouth. Like, he's hard to follow sometimes, you know. But Trump, man, Trump could be coming in harder. You know, it just seems like he's playing like the swamp game. He's throwing political jabs back at political jabs. You know, I don't know, man. It's not the display I would have liked to have seen from him. I'd like to have seen something harder, more definitive, really nailing him. You know, I definitely want to see him bring up like his health. I want to see him bring up Ashley Biden. He danced around the topic of the laptop, but he didn't fucking go in for the kill. You know, his base wants to see some meat and potatoes. You know what I mean? That they're waiting for it, man. And it just seems like he's not coming with it. He's doing well. You know what I mean? He's definitely holding his own, especially since he's getting fucked by both the moderators too. Those little two tiny hat wearing sons of bitches need to close their goddamn mouth and let the friggin' conversation flow. They're really wrecking it, you know? And the fact that they're really controlling the flow of the debate by, you know, pushing redirect questions instead of allowing a direct response is just crap. You know, that opens up an avenue for the media and the newspapers and all that fake news shit to say that he was avoiding questions. You know, that Biden hit him off with this, but then he started talking about a different topic. You know, that's just a bad optic. You know, he's not really having a chance to counterpoint much. But let me check in the chat. They're still, you know, they still have this commercial break shit going on right here. What the hell? Why does this keep coming up? But they still have this on the stream here. So let me hop into chat, see what's going on. Those glasses every time. The Magoo in my screen name is because I can't see jack shit. You know what I mean? So you know, there's a little trivia. Let's have a nice discussion about the people who are breaking windows on January 6th. Supposedly no staff around either of the room. people coming out of the woods with swastikas. That whole representation of Charlottesville was absolute jack shit. If there were people marching around, oh, we got something back here. If people, what the fuck? Why does that keep coming up? If people were marching around with swastikas, that would be the image that would have been shown. But the image that the media ran with was the people with the tiki torches.
In a second term. President Biden,
But,
while
all
black
right.
unemployment dropped to a record low under your presidency, black families still earn far less than white families. Black mothers are still 3 times more likely to
All
die
right.
from pregnancy-related causes, and black Americans are imprisoned at 5 times the rate of white Americans.
Because at
What do you say to black
14% of the
voters who are
population,
disappointed that you haven't made more progress.
we all know the numbers. I was about to shoot out my bigoted friends. You can't even talk shit about the black murder rate with them.
Started from any time in history.
Yeah.
Number 2, the wages of black unemployment is the lowest level it's been in a long, long time. Number 3, we're trying to provide housing for black Americans and dealing with the segregation that exists among these corporations that collude to keep people out of their houses. In addition to that, we find that the impact on the choice that black families have to make relative to child care is incredibly difficult. When we did the first major piece of legislation in the past, I was able to reduce black child care costs. I cut them in half. We got to make sure we provide for child care costs. We got to make sure because when you provide those child care protections,
Basically, more subsidies for
economic
blacks.
growth because more people can be
I mean,
on
my God.
the job market.
This guy will
So,
pledge
there's more to be
never-ending
done.
national
There's more to be
assets
done.
to such a
We've
small
done a great deal
percentage
so
of the
far, and we're
population.
opening up a
No
new-
matter how much money you
You
dump
have
into that
49
community,
seconds
they will
left.
not prosper.
What do you say to black voters
Sorry,
who are
facts,
disappointed with
but
the
I mean,
progress
you know,
so
it's
far?
true.
I say I don't blame them for being disappointed. Inflation is still hurting them badly. For example, I provided for the idea that any black family, first-time home buyer, should get a $10,000 tax credit to be able to buy their first home.
Why just
So they
them?
can get started. I made sure that we're in a situation where all those black families and those black individuals who provided had to take out student loans that were ballooning, that if they were engaged in nursing, and anything having to do with volunteerism, if they paid their bills for 10 years and their student debt, all the rest is forgiven after 10 years. Millions have benefited from that. And we're going to do a whole lot more for black families.
Thank you, President Trump.
It's like
And he
we have
caused
to
the
pay
inflation.
their way
He's
their
blaming
entire
inflation.
journey through
And he's
life.
right, it's been very bad. He caused the inflation, and it's killing black families and Hispanic families and just about everybody. It's killing people. They can't buy groceries anymore. They can't. You look at the cost of food where it's doubled, and tripled, and quadrupled. They can't live. They're not living anymore. He caused this inflation. I gave him a country with essentially no inflation. It was perfect. It was so good. All he had to do is leave it alone. He destroyed it with his Green New
Screwhead
Deal
says he
and all
comes
the
back
other-
from break
all
with
this
his
money
heart
that's being
pumping
thrown
through
out
his
the window.
chest.
He
Yeah,
caused
they
inflation.
juiced him.
As sure as you're sitting there, the fact is that his big kill on the black people is the millions of people that he's allowed to come in through the border. They're taking black jobs now, and it could be 18, it could be 19, and even 20 million people. They're taking black jobs, and they're taking Hispanic jobs, and you haven't seen it yet, but you're going to see something that's going to be the worst in our history.
Thank you. President Biden?
There was no inflation when I became president. You know why? The economy was flat on its back. 15% unemployment.
Ooh.
He decimated the economy.
Ooh, he's getting
That's why he
testy.
decimated the economy. That's why there was no inflation at the time. There were no jobs. He provided thousands and millions
He's
of
all
jobs for
fucked up on
individuals
speed and he's
who are
ready to
involved
fight.
communities, including minority communities. We made sure that they have health insurance. We have covered, if the ACA has increased, I made sure that they're $8,000 per person in a family to get written off for health care. But this guy wants to eliminate that. They've tried 50 times. He wants to get rid of the ACA again, and they're going to try again if they win. We find ourselves in a position where the idea that we're not doing any, we put more police on the street than any administration has. He wants to cut the cops. We're providing for equity and making sure people have a shot to make it. There's a lot going on, but in inflation, he caused it by his tremendous seasons and the way he handled the pandemic.
Thank you. Another persistent challenge is the climate crisis. 2023 was the hottest year in recorded history, and communities across the country are confronting the devastating effects of extreme heat, intensifying wildfires, stronger hurricanes, and rising sea levels. Former
I bet
President Trump
CNN
used
has
violence
reported
and
that it's been the
opponents
hottest
climate
year in
initiatives,
history
but
every
will he
year
take
for the
any
last 10
action
years.
as president to slow the climate crisis?
Let me just go back to what he said about the police, how close the police are to him.
Oh, man.
Almost every police group in the nation from every state is supporting.
Oh, they can't
Donald
control the
Trump.
weather.
Almost every police group. And what he's done to the black population is horrible, including the fact that for 10 years he called them super predators. We can't, in the 1990s, we can't forget that. Super predators was his name, and he called it to them for 10, and they've taken great offense at it, and now they see it happening. But when they see what I did for criminal justice reform and for the historically black colleges and universities, where I funded them and got them all funded, and the opportunity zones with Tim, as you know, Tim Scott was incredible. He did a great job. Great senator from South Carolina. He came to me with the idea, and it was a great idea. It's one of the most successful economic development acts ever in the country, opportunity zones. And the biggest
How long do they have to
beneficiaries are
simp
blacks,
for the
and
black
that's why
community for?
We have the best numbers with
What
that
they
being
need to do is start
nothing
addressing the
ever.
root
They're
cause
saying
of the
over, I read this
problem.
morning,
Why
we
does
have
the
ever
black
best
community
numbers.
need so many
He's
subsidies
lost
in the first
much of
place?
the black
You know,
population
you got to be open to
because
the
he's done
idea
a
that
horrible
removing
job
these
for black
subsidies
people.
would be more
He's also done a
beneficial to the
horrible
black
job
community
for
than continuing
Hispanics.
to give
But
them
when
more.
you see these millions
Stop
of people
paying black
born into a
mothers to
country and they're
have
gonna take the
bastard
jobs, and
children.
it's already
You know,
started, and
you're
you
giving
haven't
them
seen
more and more
anything yet.
money
It's a
every
disaster.
time they shit out a fatherless
38
child.
seconds left.
Stop that
President Trump,
practice,
will you take
and you'll
any
see the
action
black
as
community
president
stop
to slow the
fracturing
climate
itself.
crisis?
So
Just my
I
2
want
cents.
absolutely immaculate clean water, and I want absolutely clean
Look
air.
at that
and we
face
had
modesty,
it.
Fiona.
We had H2O. We had the best numbers ever, and we were using all forms of energy, all forms, everything. And yet, during my 4 years, I had the best environmental numbers ever. And my top environmental people gave me that statistic just before I walked on the stage, actually.
I don't know where the hell he's been. The idea that anything he said is true. I've passed the most extensive climate change legislation in history. In history, we find ourselves, and by the way, black colleges. I came up with $15 billion for HBCUs, historic black universities and colleges, because they don't have.
Now they're simping
they
for
don't have
black
the kind of
people again. Why?
controls that they have to build these laboratories and the like. Any black student is capable in college of doing any white student can do. They just have the money
Man, they
not to
just
be able
jump
pass
to talk about how
jobs
much
and
they'll
like
give
that.
blacks,
In a
won't they?
situation
You
where
know?
the idea that he is claiming to have done something that had the cleanest water, he hadn't done a damn thing for the environment. He pulled out of the Paris Peace Accord, Climate Accord. I immediately joined it because if we reach 1.5 degrees Celsius at any one point, there's no way back. The only existential threat to humanity is climate change, and he didn't do a damn thing about it. He wants to undo all that I've done.
Whispering
Paris
Joe.
Accord was going to cost us $1 trillion.
Yeah,
and
man,
China
Joe don't look
nothing, and
healthy.
Russia nothing, and India nothing. It was a ripoff
That
of
fucking
the United States.
5 mile
And
stare.
I ended it because I didn't want to waste that money because they treat us horribly. We were the only ones. It was costing us money. Nobody else was paying into it, and it was a disaster. But everything that he said just now, I'll give you an example. I heard him say before insulin. I'm the one that got the insulin down for the seniors. I took care of the seniors.
Is there
What
anything
he's
in that
doing
ear?
is destroying all of our medical programs because the migrants coming in, they want everybody. And look, I have the biggest heart on the stage. I guarantee you that. And I want to take care of people. But we're destroying our country. They're taking over our schools, our hospitals, and they're going to be taking over Social Security. He is destroying Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid.
The idea is that we, in fact, we were the only ones of consequence who were not members of the Paris Accord. How can we do anything if we're not able to, the United States can't get us under control? One of the largest polluters in the world, number one. We're making significant progress. By 2035, we will have cut pollution in half. We have made significant progress, and we continue to make progress. We set up a climate corps where thousands of young people will learn how to deal with climate, just like Peace Corps, and we're moving in directions that are going to significantly change the elements of cause of pollution. But the idea that he claims that he has the biggest heart up here and he's really concerned about pollution and about climate, I've not seen any indication of that. And by the way, with regard to prescription drugs, one company agreed that they would reduce the price to $35, which I was calling for, one, voluntarily. I made sure every company in the world, every pharmaceutical company, cannot have to pay.
Thank you.
And by the way,
So every day, millions of Americans struggle just to make ends meet.
Wow.
For many older Americans,
Dude, did
Social
you see
Security
that?
provides a
Like, he
critical lifeline.
obeyed.
President
She
Biden
said thank you,
is
and he
done
just
with
shut
Social
right
Security.
the fuck
Seniors
up.
will
Man, he
see
just
their
closed that
benefits
lip
cut
like he knew
in
his
just over
place.
10 years.
Wow.
Will you name
That
tonight
is not a
what
man of
specific
power.
steps
That
will
is not a
be
man of
taken to keep
authority.
Social
He's,
Security solid?
oh man,
let's make the very
she
level
made him
playing
his
field for us
bitch.
here. Right
You
now,
see that? She
everybody
snapped
making
her
$170,000
finger and he shut right the fuck
6%
down.
of their income, of their paycheck, every single time they get a paycheck from the time the first one they get when they're 18 years old. The idea that they're gonna, I'm proposing that everybody, the millionaires pay 1%. So no one after,
that was
not
bad.
raise the cost of Social Security for anybody under $400,000. After that, it began to make the wealthy begin to pay their fair share by increasing from 1% beyond to be able to guarantee the program for life.
So you still have 82 seconds left. Are there any other measures that you think that would be able to help keep Social Security solvent, or is that one enough?
Well, no, that one enough will keep it solvent, but the biggest thing will do is we defeat this man because he wants to get rid of Social Security. He thinks there's plenty to cut in Social Security. He's wanting to cut Social Security and Medicare, both times. And if you look at the program put forward by the House Republican caucus that I believe supports, is in fact want to cut it as well. The idea that we don't need to protect our seniors is ridiculous. And by the way, the American public has greater health care coverage today than ever before. And on the ACA, as I said, we're in a circumstance where 400,000 people, 40 million people would not have insurance because they have a pre-existing condition. Only thing that allows them to have that insurance is the fact that they, in fact, are part of the ACA.
Oh no.
And by the way, the other thing is, we're in a situation where I talk about education for black communities. I've raised the amount of money for Pell Grants another $8,000. So anybody making
Back to
under
simping for
$70,000
blacks.
a year is going to be able to get $15,000.
It
towards
blows my
education.
mind, man.
He just doesn't know what he's talking about.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump.
So I've dealt with politicians all my life. I've been on this side of the
Scurvy
equation
wench,
for
Joe's
the last
voice.
8
Yeah,
years.
man. He's just, I
I've
don't
never seen
know.
anybody lie like this guy. He lies. I've never seen it. He can look you in the face. About
Creek
so many
filled with
other
old
things.
shopping carts
And we
and
mentioned
mafia
the laptop, we mentioned
assassination
Russia,
victims.
Russia, Ukraine. Everything he does is a lie. It's
Yeah,
misinformation. and
his voice is
disinformation.
trashed.
The losers and suckers story that he made up is a total lie on the military. It's a disgrace. But Social Security, he's destroying it because millions of people are pouring into our country, and they're putting them onto Social Security. They're putting them onto
Yep.
Medicare, Medicaid. They're putting them in our
His
hospitals.
voice is
They're
probably
taking the place
trash
of
because
our
they've probably
citizens
been
there.
going over
What
like
they're
these
doing to
these
the
debate
VA, to our
questions with him
veterans is
for
unbelievable.
the
Our
last
veterans are
couple
living in the
days,
street,
you know.
And these people are living
So,
in luxury hotels. He doesn't know what he's doing, and it's really coming back. I've never seen such anger in our country before.
President Biden.
The idea that veterans are not being taken care of, I told you before. By the way, when I said suckers and losers, he acknowledged after that he fired that general. That general got fired because he's the one who's acknowledged that that's what he said. He was the one standing up.
Miss Modesty Fiona. Two
Number one.
sources
Number
are
two,
saying Joe has the
idea
cold.
that we're going to be in a situation
I don't
where
know, man.
all these millions and millions of way talks
Cold
about
my ass.
illegal aliens are
Guy's
coming
got
into
like
the
3
country,
different types of
taking our
dementia,
jobs.
partial
There's a reason why
schizophrenia,
we are the fastest
maybe
growing
some
economy
attention
in the world.
deficit disorder.
Reason why we
Who
are
knows?
the
That
successful
prick probably's got gingivitis.
We're doing better
Guy's
than
got
any
probably
other nation
everything
in the world.
fucking wrong with him
And
that
by
he
the way,
possibly could.
Those 15 Nobel laureates he talked about being phony, those 15 Nobel laureates, economists, they all said that if Trump is reelected, we're likely to have a recession and inflation is going to increasingly go up. And by the way, worst president in history, 159 presidential scholars voted him the worst president in the history of the United States of America.
President Biden, thank you so much. Let's turn to the cost of child care, which many American families struggle to afford. President Trump, both you and President Biden have tried to address this issue, but the average cost of child care in this country has risen to more than $11,000 a year per child. For many families, the cost of child care for 2 children is more than their rent. In your second term, what would you do to make child care more affordable?
Just to go back, the general got fired because he was no good. And if he said that, that's why he made it up. But we have 19 people that said I didn't say it, and they're very highly respected, much more so than
he looks out his tits
The other
right
thing
there.
is-
Look at him.
he doesn't fire people.
He looks
He never fires
confused.
people. I've never seen him fire anybody. I did fire a lot. I fired Comey because he was no good. I fired a lot of the top people at the FBI, drained the swamp. They were no good. Not easy to fire people. You'd pay a price for it, but they were no good. I inherited these people. I didn't put him there. I didn't put Comey there. He was no good. I fired him. This guy hasn't fired anybody. He never fires. He should have fired every military man that was involved with that the Afghanistan horror show, the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. He didn't fire. Did you fire anybody? Did you fire anybody that's on the border that's allowed us to have the worst border in the history of the world? Did anybody get fired for allowing 18 million people, many from prisons, many from mental institutions? Did you fire anybody that allowed our country to be destroyed? Joe, our country is being destroyed as you and I sit up here and waste a lot of time on this debate. This shouldn't be a debate. He is the worst president. He just said about me because I said it. But look, he's the worst president in the history of our country. He's destroyed our country. Now all of a sudden he's trying to get a little tough on the border. He came out with a nothing deal, and it reduced it a little bit, like this much. It's insignificant. He wants open borders. He wants our country to either be destroyed or he wants to pick up those people as voters. And I don't think we just can't let it happen. If he wins this election,
That was
our country
strong
doesn't
right then,
have a
you know?
chance, not even a chance of coming out of this rut. We probably won't have a country left anymore. That's how bad it is. He is the worst in history by far.
Thank you, President Trump.
You
President
could
Biden?
feel that momentum coming out of Trump when he turned and he was just drilling them. That was powerful right there. That was something.
The history of the world, the finest in the history of the world. No one thinks we're weak. No one wants to screw around with us. Nobody. Number one. Number two, the idea that we're talking about worst presidents. I wasn't joking. Look it up or go online. 159 or 58, don't hold me the exact number, presidential historians, they've had meetings and they voted who's the worst president in American history, one through best to worst. They said he was the worst in all of American history. That's a fact. That's not conjecture. He can argue they're wrong, but that's what they voted. The idea that he is doing anything to deal with child care, he did virtually nothing to child care. We should significantly increase the child care tax credit. We should significantly increase the availability of women and men or single parents to be able to go back to work, and we should encourage businesses to have
Thank you, President
child care
Biden.
facilities.
President Trump, the question was about what would you do to make child care more affordable, if you want to take your minute.
Just so you
God.
understand.
That motherfucker looking
In
at
the
notes,
polls, we
Scurry
have other
Lynch,
things
yeah.
They rate him the worst because what he's done is so bad. And they rate me. I'll show you. I will
Christopher
show you.
Helms,
And they rate me one
Trump
of the
didn't
best,
drain the
okay?
swamp. He just
And
lowered it a
if I'm
tad.
given
I would
another
like to have
4
seen
years,
more out of
I'll
his
be the best. I think
administration.
I'll
I
be
really
the
would
best.
have.
Nobody's ever.
Screwhead, fun
been in an
fact, the
economy
vast
like us.
majority of
Nobody ever
Biden
cut
is made
taxes
by
like
Ford
us.
Motor
He's
Company.
the only one I know. He wants to raise your taxes by 4 times. He wants to raise everybody's
Joe
taxes
Biden is
by
radio
4 times. He
controlled.
wants the Trump tax cuts
It-
to
I
expire.
almost expect
So
to see
everybody,
wires
if you're
coming
the
off
two
from
of you,
him and
you're
him
gonna
just
pay
sitting
4 to
there
5 times.
like marionette
Nobody ever heard of
style.
this before. All my life, I'd grow up and I'd see politicians talking about cutting taxes. When we cut taxes, as I said, we did more business. Apple and all these companies, they were bringing money back into our country. The worst president in history by far, and everybody knows it.
President Biden?
Look, the fact of the matter is that he's dead wrong about. He's increased the tariff. He will increase the taxes on middle class people. I said I'd never raise a tax on anybody making less than $400,000. I didn't. But this tariff is 10% tariffs. Everything coming in the country, you know what the economists say? That's going to cost the average American $2,500 a year more because they're going to have to pay the difference in food and all the things that are very important. Number two, he's in a situation where he talks about how he has not raised, he's somehow helped the middle class. The middle class have been devastated by you. Now you want a new tax cut of $5 trillion over the next 10 years, which is going to fundamentally bankrupt the country. You have the largest deficit of any president in American history, number one. Number two, you have not, in fact, made any contact, any progress with China. We are at the lowest trade deficit with China since 2010.
Thank you, President Biden. Thank you, President Biden. Let's discuss an epidemic impacting millions
Biden
of
seems to
Americans.
just
The
be
votes
like-
have made more than 100,000 Americans are dying from overdoses every year, primarily from fentanyl and other opioids. What will you do to help Americans right now in the throes of addiction who are struggling to get the treatment they need?
To finish up, we now have the largest deficit in the history of our country under this guy. We have the largest deficit with China. He gets paid by China. He's a Manchurian candidate. He gets money from China. So I think he's afraid to deal with them or something. But do you notice he never took out my tariffs because we bring in so much money with the tariffs that I imposed on China. He never took them away. He can't because it's too much money. It's tremendous. And we saved our steel industries, and there was more to come, but he hasn't done that. But he hasn't cut the tariffs because he can't, because it's too much money. But he's got the largest deficit in the history of our country, and he's got the worst situation with China. China's going to own us if you keep allowing them to do what they're doing to us as a country. They are killing us as a country, Joe, and you can't let that happen. You're destroying our country.
So, President Trump, you have 67 seconds to do to help Americans in the throes of addiction right now who are struggling to get the treatment they need.
Jake, we were doing very well at addiction until the COVID came along. We had the 2.5, almost 3 years of nobody's ever had before, any country, in every way.
Kyle,
And
come
it
on,
was
man,
the
bite
drugs going
someone.
across the
Yeah.
border were-
Miss
it
Modesty
started
Fiona
to
in the
increase.
chat
We got
throws
great
out they're
dog.
shutting them
It's the
down
most
when they're out of
incredible
time.
thing that
Yeah,
you've ever
they're
seen,
hitting
where
the
they
A
can
plus
spot
for
it.
time
We did a
management.
lot.
I'll definitely say
We were
that.
getting very low numbers, very low numbers. Then he came along.
translated
the
into more
numbers came. You
taxpayer
see
money.
the numbers now? It's not only the 18
Christopher
million
Helms
people
throws
that
out a
are
good
there,
idea. How's all the fentanyl
gotaways.
getting into the
I don't
country?
even talk
You
about
know,
gotaways. But the numbers of the amount of drugs and human in women coming across our border, the worst thing I've ever seen, at numbers that nobody's ever seen under him because the border's so bad. But the number of drugs coming across our border now is the largest we've ever had by far.
President Trump, thank you. President Biden.
Ah, it's like he answered Chris Helms' question personally just then. You get that?
And I wanted to make sure we use the machinery that can detect fentanyl. These big machines that roll over everything that comes across the border. And it costs a lot of money. That was part of this deal we put together, this bipartisan deal. More fentanyl machines, more numbers of agents, more numbers of all the people at the border. And when we had that deal done, he called his Republican colleagues, said, "Don't do it. It's going to hurt me politically." No, he never argued it's not a good bill. It's a really good bill. We need those machines. We need those machines. And we're coming down very hard in Asia in terms of precursors for fentanyl, and Mexico is working with us to make sure they don't have the technology to be able to put it together. That's what we have to do.
So we need the borders open
Thank
as
you,
wide
President
as
Biden.
possible.
President Trump, and again, the question
But
is
at the
about
airports, we need to put
Americans in the
magic
throes of
drug
addiction
sniffing
right now,
machines,
struggling
and
to
that's
get
going to
treatment.
fix a problem.
Because this does pertain to it. He ended
No.
Remain in Mexico. He ended catch and release. I made it catch and release in Mexico, not catch and release here. We had so many things with Mexico, and I got it all for nothing. It's just like when you have a hostage. We always pay $6 billion for a hostage. Every time we say it's a hostage. Now we have a hostage, a Wall Street Journal reporter.
Yeah.
I think a good guy, and he's over there because Putin is laughing at this guy, probably asking for billions of dollars for the reporter. I will have him out very quickly as soon as I take office. Before I take office, I said by literally as soon as I win the election, I will have that reporter out. He should have had him out a long time ago. But Putin's probably asking for billions and billions of dollars because this guy pays it every time. We had 2 cases where we paid $6 billion for 5 people. I got 58 people out, and I paid essentially nothing.
Thank you, President Trump. Dana?
Let's turn to concerns that voters have about each of you. President Biden, you would be 86 at the end of your second term.
Oh man, he's
How do
got to
you
bring
address
it.
Concerns about your capability to handle the toughest job in the world well into your 80s?
Well, first of all, I spent half my career being criticized being the youngest person, second youngest person ever elected to the United States Senate, and now I'm the oldest. This guy's 3 years younger and a lot less competent. I think that just look at the record. Look at what I've done. Look how I've turned around the horrible situation he left me. As I said, 15 million new jobs, 800,000 manufacturing jobs, more investment in America, over billions of dollars in private investment in enterprises that we are growing. By the way, we brought an awful lot of people. Well, the whole idea of computer chips, we used to have 40% of the market. We invented those chips, and we lost it.
What?
Because he was sending people to find the cheapest jobs overseas and then bring home a product. So I went to South Korea. I convinced Samsung to invest billions of dollars.
What the fuck is
in
he
the
even
United
talking
States.
about?
And guess what? Those fabs, they call them, to build these chips, those fabs pay over $100,000. You don't need a college degree for them. And there's billions, about $40 billion already being invested and being built right now in the United States, creating significant jobs for Americans.
What in
all
the
over
Jesus
the
fuck
world.
question is he answering
President
right
Biden, you
now?
have 40 seconds left. Would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I would. The idea that
Yeah,
somehow
let him keep going.
we are this failing country. Never heard a president talk like this before.
Why is he
we're the
talking about
envy of the
computer
world.
chip?
Name me a single
Whatever the fuck.
major country president who wouldn't trade places with the United States of America for all our problems and all our opportunities. We're the most progressive country in the world in getting things done. We're the strongest country in the world. We're a country in the world who keeps our word, and everybody trusts us. All of our allies and those who he cuddles up to, from Kim Jong Un, he sends love letters to, and Putin, etc. They don't want to screw around with us.
Thank you. Former President Trump, to follow up, you would be 82 at the end of your second term. What do you say to voters who have concerns about your capabilities to serve?
Well, I took 2 tests, cognitive tests. I aced them, both of them, as you know. We made it public. He took none. I'd like to see him take one, just one, a real easy one. Like go through the first 5 questions. He couldn't do it.
He
But I
couldn't
took 2
pass the
cognitive
first
tests.
page
I
of a
took
coloring
physical
book.
exams every year. And, you know, we knock on wood wherever we may have wood, that I'm in very good health. I just won 2 club championships, not even senior, 2 regular club championships. To do that, you have to be quite smart, and you have to be able to hit the ball a long way. And I do it. He doesn't do it. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. He challenged me to a
He
golf
can't ride a
match.
bike.
He can't hit a ball 50 yards. I think I'm in very good shape. I feel that I'm as in good a shape as I was 25, 30 years ago. Actually, I'm probably a little bit lighter, but I'm in as good a shape as I was years ago. I feel very good. I feel the same. But I was willing to take a cognitive test. And you know what? If I didn't do well, I aced them. Dr. Ronnie Jackson, who's a great guy when he was White House doctor. And then I took another one, a similar one. And one of them said they'd never seen anybody ace him.
Thank you. President Biden?
You can see he is 6'5" and only 223 pounds, or 235 pounds. Well, you said 6'4", 200. Well, anyway, anyway, just take a look at what he says he is, and take a look at what he is. Look, I'd be happy to have a driving contest with him. I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. By the way, I told you before, I'm happy to play golf if you carry your own bag.
Are they really talking about golf games here? This is a fucking
It's the 6th
disgrace.
handicap of all.
I was at 8 handicap.
Oh. Americans tonight are going to bed overworked and hungry, and these 2 fucks have the audacity to sit there and talk about their golf handicaps, about how proficient they are at the country club. Dude, what? Fucking what? You missed the mark, both of
We
them.
will accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins. And we will say right now
that was not
political
good.
violence in any form is unacceptable.
Well, I shouldn't have to say that, but of course I believe that. It's totally unacceptable. And if you would see my statements that I made on Twitter at the time, and also my statement that I made in the Rose Garden, you would say it's one of the strongest statements you've ever seen. In addition to the speech I made in front of, I believe, the largest crowd I've ever spoken to, and I will tell you, nobody ever talks about that. They talk about a relatively small number of people that went to the Capitol, and in many cases were ushered in by the police. And as Nancy Pelosi said, It was her responsibility, not mine. She said that loud and clear. But the answer is, if the election is fair, free, and I want that more than anybody. And I'll tell you something. I wish he was a great president, because I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be at one of my many places enjoying myself. I wouldn't be under indictment because I wouldn't have been his political opponent, because he indicted me because I was his opponent. I wish he was a great president. I would rather have that. I wouldn't be here. I don't mind being here. The only reason I'm here is he's so bad as a president that I'm going to make America great again. We're going to make America great again. We're a failing nation right now. We're a seriously failing nation. And we're a failing nation because of him. His policies are so bad. His military policies are insane. They're insane. He will drive us into World War III, and we're closer to World War III than anybody can imagine. We are
His
very,
catheter
very close to
bag.
World War III. And he's driving us
Oh,
there.
that's
Kim
brutal.
Jong-un and President Xi
Nice
Jinping,
one,
Kim
Chad.
Jong-un of
Nice
North
one.
Korea, all of these people,
Yeah.
they don't respect him. They don't fear him. They have nothing going with this gentleman, and he's going to drive us into World War III.
You want a World War III, let him follow and win, and let Putin say, do what you want, NATO. Just do what you want. There's a thing called Article 5. An attack on one is attack on all, a required response. The idea, I can't think of a single major...
Oh, he looks
in the world
pinned right now. He ain't
military
even
president
blinking
who's
and
done
nothing.
Done what they've done. Because we're a powerful nation. We have
Oh,
wonderful...
really?
It's because of the people. Not me. It's because of the American people. They're capable of anything, and they step up when they're needed. And right now, we're needed. We're needed.
He still
to
ain't
protect the
blinked.
world
Look at
because of
that.
Our own safety as a state.
All
And
right,
again,
there was
You
one.
want to have a war, just let Putin go ahead and take Kyiv, make sure they move on, see what happens in Poland, Hungary, and other places along that border. Then you have a war.
President Trump, as I come back to you for a follow-up, the
Damn.
question was...
See those eyes all wide, not blinking? He's probably on that like blue Walter White methamphetamine right now or something, man. He's got to be jacked.
Russia.
He's got to be.
They took a lot of land from Bush.
Yeah, Scurvy Wench, look at Joe's eyes. You
Obama
look
and
like
Biden.
all wild and
They
crazy.
took no land, nothing from Trump, nothing. He knew not to do it. He's not going to play games with me. He knew that. I got along with him very well, but he knew not to play games. He took nothing from me. But now he's going to take the whole thing from this man right here. That's a war that should have never started. It would have never started ever with me. And he's going to take Ukraine. And, you know, you asked me a question before, would you do this with... He's got us in such a bad position right now with Ukraine and Russia. Because Ukraine's not winning that war. He said, I will never settle until such time. They're running out of people. They're running out of soldiers.
Guys, I
They've
got to
lost
run to
so
the
many
bathroom.
people. It's so sad.
There's too much iced
They've lost
coffee in
so
me.
many people, and they've lost those gorgeous cities with the golden domes that are 1,000 years old, all because of him and stupid decisions. Russia would have never attacked if I were
President Trump,
president.
the question was, will you accept the results of the election, regardless of who wins? Yes or no, please.
If it's a fair and legal and good election, absolutely. I would have much rather accepted these, but the fraud and everything else was ridiculous. And if you want, we'll have a news conference on it in a week, or we'll have another one of these in a week. But I will absolutely, there's nothing I'd rather do. It would be much easier for me to do that than I'm running again. I wasn't really going to run until I saw the horrible job he did. He's destroying our country. I would be very happy to be someplace else, in a nice location someplace. And again, no indictments, no political opponent stuff, because it's the only way he thinks he can win. But unfortunately, it's driven up my numbers and driven them up to a very high level because the people understand it.
Let's see what your numbers are when this election is over. Let's see. You're a whiner. When you lost the first time, you continued, you appealed and appealed to courts all across the country. Not one single court in America said any of your claims had any merit, state or local, none. But you continue to provoke this lie about somehow there's all this misrepresentation, all this stealing. There's no evidence of that at all. And I tell you what, I doubt whether you'll accept it because you're such a whiner. The idea if you lose again, you're accepting anything, you can't stand the loss. Something snapped in you when you lost the last time.
We'll be right back. with more from the CNN presidential debate, live from Georgia.
Oh, shit. Oh, man. It looks like I showed... If I could have waited, I could have used the bathroom during the commercial. Look at that shit. Alright, hold on. Let me turn that down. There's no reason to let you guys watch a little blank white screen there. But, I almost want to ask what did I miss while I was in the bathroom, but I know it was just some more bullshit. But, I don't know, let me take a quick look down here in the chat, see what you guys are saying here. We need P music from Magoo. Biden is taking a little. They refuse to look at the evidence. Munchie time. No, I was dying to use the bathroom. More drugs for Joe break. Yeah, man. That little stretch there where he was talking and wasn't blinking, he looked really, really unnatural there. You know, that really wasn't a good optic. But, I don't know. You know, my opinion remains unchanged. I would like to see more definitive shit coming from Trump. My mind keeps going back to them arguing about golf, though. That did not sit right with me. You know, Americans are struggling to feed their children meat. You know, they're struggling to keep their utilities on. And these two, just up there arguing about their golf handicap, it just, you know, that's just so removed from the American public. You know, it's elitist, it's privilege, it's just everything that doesn't need to be seen. You know, that hurt to see. You know, and then when Biden was up there talking about how at one point he was the youngest member of the government and now he stands as the oldest. That speaks volumes. He's been there for too long. There should be time limits. You know, he at this point he doesn't represent the people. He represents his own interest. He represents the people that got him to the position where he was at. I mean, once you spend too much time in these institutions, you're completely corrupted, and you know you're no longer an agent of freedom or democracy. You're an agent of like your globalist fucking campaign donors, pretty much. So, you know, that didn't sit well with me either, you know, but, I don't know. I really would like to see that knockout punch from Trump, though. You know, I'd really like to see him drill him. There was that one point where, like, Trump was leaning in. He's like, Joe, you're destroying the country. You're fucking everything up, you know. That came off real strong, you know, just, I don't know, man. His tone, the way he was turned to Biden, like drilling him like that came off as really authoritative. You know, that looked good. That looked like a leader to me. You know, on the other hand, when Biden tries to like kick it up a notch, he looks deranged. You know what I mean? He looks like a crazy dementia patient screaming about like memories that never happened. You know, but we just returned to the shit here, so let's tune this up.
By a coin toss, we're going to begin with you, President Biden. You have
let me check the chat real quick.
We've made significant progress.
The moderators are nervous. They're expecting Joe to break.
Trump in his last term. We find ourselves in a situation where, number one, we have to
Trump will get his licks in before it's over. I hope so, Miss Wench. I really hope so.
Or anyone out watching this debate, do you think the tax system is fair?
All right.
The fact is that I said nobody even making under $400,000 had a single penny increase in their taxes, and will not. And if I'm reelected, that'll be the case again. But this guy has increased your taxes because of the deficit. Number one, he's increased inflation because of the debacle he left after the way he handled the pandemic. And he finds himself in a position where he now wants to tax you more by putting a 10% tariff on everything that comes into the United States of America. What I did, when, for example, he wants to get rid of the ability of Medicare for the ability us to be able to negotiate drug prices with the big pharma companies. Well, guess what? We got it down to $35 for insulin instead of $400. No more than $2,000 for every senior, no matter how much prescription they need. You know what that did? That reduced the federal debt by $160 billion over 10 years because the government doesn't have to pay the exorbitant prices. I'm going to make that available to every senior all along, where it's happening now, and everybody in America. He wants to get rid of that. I'm going to make sure that we have child care. We're going to significantly increase the credits people have for child care. We're going to make sure we do something about what we're doing on lead pipes and all the things that are causing health problems for people across the country.
Lead
We're
pipes?
going to continue to fight to bring down inflation and give people a break.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump.
Are
you
lead
have 2
pipes
minutes
killing
for your
people? I
question.
always thought it was that fucking...
Like so many
All right, well,
politicians,
whatever.
this man is just a complainer. He said, we want to do this, we want to do that, we want to get rid of this tax, that tax. But he doesn't do anything. All he does is make our country unsafe by allowing millions and millions of people to pour in. Our military doesn't respect him. We look like fools in Afghanistan. We didn't stop Israel. It was such a horrible thing that would have never happened. It should have never happened. Iran was broke. Anybody that did business with Iran, including China, they couldn't do business with the United States. They all passed. Iran was broke. They had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah, for terror, no money whatsoever. Again, Ukraine should have never happened. He talks about all this stuff, but he didn't do it. For 3.5 years, we're living in hell. We have the Palestinians and we have everybody else rioting all over the place. You talk about Charlottesville. This is 100 times Charlottesville, 1,000 times. The whole country is exploding because of you, because they don't respect you, and they have to respect their president, and they don't respect you throughout the world. What we did was incredible. We rebuilt the military. We got the largest tax cut in history, the largest regulation cut in history. The reason he's got jobs is because I cut the regulations that gave jobs, but he's putting a lot of those regulations back on. All of the things that we've done, nobody's never seen anything like. Even from a medical standpoint, right to try, where we can try space-age materials instead of going to Asia or going to Europe and trying to get when you're terminally ill. Now you can go and you can get something. You sign a document. They've been trying to get it for 42 years. But you know what we did for the military was incredible. Choice for our soldiers, where our soldiers, instead of waiting for 3 months to see a doctor, can go out and get themselves fixed up and readied up and take care of themselves, and they're living. And that's why I had the highest approval rating in the history of the VA. So all of these things, we're in a failing nation, but it's not going to be failing anymore. We're going to make it great
Biden
again.
has those Manson
Thank
eyes.
you, former President Trump, President Biden. Stay with us because we have full analysis of this debate. Anderson Cooper and Aaron Burnett starts now on CNN.
All right, so was that it? Is that the end? I could give a fucking a quarter less of what Anderson Cooper has to say. Like, is that the closing shot? Is it that? Is that it? All right, I think. All right, that was the end of the live shit, right? All right. We don't need to hear any of Anderson Cooper, like none of him, none of them. Get the fuck out of there, Mr. Cooper. It's not. We're not really that into it. All right, my friends, what did you think? I would love to hear some opinions coming out of the chat about the performance of the candidates during the first presidential election. Man, is that the showing that you guys wanted to see? Is that the showing that you expected that, like, your average everyday American? Fuck! Someone dropped my glasses. Is that was that the performance that you thought that your average everyday, like, American would want to see? You know? I don't know. Let me take a quick look to see what's coming through the chat here. Biden is short-circuiting someone called Disney. It's the end. Jared D. I think Trump made a clear case. Biden looked as ridiculous as always. Let's see. Sound cut. That's a wrap. And the spin begins. Scurvy wench. Yeah, Miss Wench, I had no stomach to sit there and hear like the CNN circle jerk about how like fucking Biden schooled Trump. I'm not even interested. Obviously, there's going to be a huge bias in the commentary after it. So I mean, like, why even bother? I mean, it's bad enough that I had to go to the CNN website and like absorb that propaganda for the brief time I was there. I don't need to like hover on that shit after the debate. All right. They both cuck for Israel and blacks. Not surprised. Yeah. Christopher Helms, looks like the people who loathe Trump will now ask other people who loathe Trump what they think of the debate. Yes, that's exactly what it's going to be. You outdid yourself tonight. Oh, Miss Wench, thank you. Vote for me, I'll give you a potato in your ear, screwhead. Yeah, man, I mean, you kind of expected it. It obviously CNN itself is owned by the Tiny Hat Brigade, and both of the moderators have that, thing going for them as well. I got to constantly remind myself here on YouTube, and I can't like throw around the terms that I am most comfortable with. But yeah, there was going to be some fucking yid love in tonight's debate either way. It's almost obligatory. You have to drill into the idea of the public that Israel needs our support and Israel are the good guys, and it's I don't know. It's par for the course. It shouldn't be. I mean, their problems aren't our problems. Their war isn't our war. We just stay the fuck away from them. Leave them alone. A majority of global conflict could be solved if America just stepped back, stopped being the barking bulldog that protects them. Let them stand by their own fucking conduct. There's a good reason why a majority of their neighbors want to interact with them in certain ways. There's legitimate reasons behind that. Let that play out. We don't have to fucking be big brother, big protector. But in the cucking for the black community too. That's just fucking that's too much, man. While that was all unfolding, I think I threw out there, like, why do we need to sink so many resources into such a small community? We've been doing it for years. I mean, we've tried to pull them, kicking and screaming, up into civilized society, along with the rest of the country. Since like the 1970s, we really started subsidizing the community with all the inner city housing programs and all that shit. And it's not working out. You know what I mean? There's no return on the investment going into this community. The generations of doctors and lawyers coming out of their neighborhoods is just not coming up. You know what I mean? It's not, and from a ghetto standpoint too, I mean, I live in this shit, you know what I mean? So I can speak from firsthand perspective. Like, the inner cities are cancer. You need to nuke them. You know what I mean? People really need to start paying attention to what's happening down there. Like, once a month, right, the government takes this huge handful of money and throws it into the ghettos, right? And everyone's scrambling around for it. And everyone down here is just so used to living off benefits and not earning their own keep that they have such horrible financial habits that they just blow through all their money, And a lot of that goes to like their vice habits, their druggies, their alcohol, their cigarettes and everything. So when the government does recharge these benefit pools, a majority of it go to the gangs. It goes to the drug dealers and the neighborhood shot calls and everyone, the people that are selling these vice products, the fentanyl, the coke, the heroin, selling it to these people. Every month that the government sends benefits to the inner city, it's just fucking going straight into right into the pocket of drug dealers, And these poor, strung out, ignorant fucking residents of the ghetto, at that point, they live 26, 27 days out of the month off their subsidies, It's rare for people to spend cash money on food. Whatever the government gives these people, they like for food stamps, that's all they eat for the month, This is just not a healthy community. Look at what you're doing to them. Stop these fucking programs. They're destroying a people. You know, it's just fucked. There's no reason to simp for the black community so hard. It's got to end. It's got to end. You know, it kind of similar to like why you're not supposed to feed the wild animals. You know, because they become dependent. They no longer will hunt. But I don't know. I don't want to rant and rave. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. The Trump showing wasn't as strong. I would have liked to have seen him bring up Ashley. I would have liked to have seen him bring up the laptop more. I mean, he did bring it up, I think, like once. You know, he skirted around the topic. You know, but that's something that, I don't know, that's something I would have liked to have seen him bring up. I would have liked to seen him bring up 10% for the big guy, the amount of money that he's sending out to Ukraine and stuff like that, but not there. He seemed most comfortable, in my opinion anyway, of meeting Biden on the field of politics. You know, it seemed like he was playing like their game, like the swamp game a little bit in his choice of like replies and answers. You know, I feel like I saw like Trump the candidate. I didn't see Trump the person, which is who I wanted to come in and see. I wanted to see that boisterous personality, that I don't give a fuck. I'm just gonna like roast him here. I wanted to see the Trump the troll come out, you know, but I got like Trump the politician. You know, so maybe that could have been better. As far as the other side of the coin, as far as fucking that potato head there, Biden, I was shocked that he was that coherent. I'm not saying that he was coherent. Dude rambled off on some just unrelated tangent shit that I just found it really hard to follow. Like at the end there, when he just started talking about like random fucking microchips, lost. That shit just went way over my pig masked head. I couldn't follow that train of thought for the life of me. It just came out of fucking nowhere. You know, so there was some rambling. He looked juiced. He definitely looked juiced. You know what I mean? They definitely pumped him up on something. When he first came out, when the debate first started, I remember saying something like he was blinking, like he was having like convulsion blinking. You know what I mean? Like his eye rate was just fucking fluttering, like 3 or 4 blinks in a row, just going. But near the end of the debate, though, his eyes were pinned open. He was barely blinking at all. You know, so there was a definite like change in his demeanor. You know, and the one thing I can say, the entire debate, whenever he was even on screen, it was attention grabbing because I was trying to look to see like if his respiration rate was going, like if he was like all fucking jacked up on methamphetamines and like breathing heavy. Like every time like he was on frame, I was studying every like little aspect, looking for the friggin' like the proof, you know. That and you know, looking for the earpiece and everything, looking for the sign of being all like jacked up on speed. You know, it almost to the point where it tuned out anything he was saying. I was just looking for the like what's keeping this guy up, what's driving him. I was looking for the puppeteer's strings, so to speak. But he did not look like a healthy man. No, not by any meaning. But I don't know. You know, I really would have liked to see him do better. But at the end of the day, I think friggin' Mr. Trump won. Mr. Trump won the debate. In my eyes, only because of my confirmation bias, and I you know, sort of lean towards his you know, viewpoint, his solutions to some of the problems that were presented. Not all of them, you know, but I don't know. If once again we are put in the position of the greater of two evils, you know, I would side for Trump. You know, he's not the Messiah. He's not going to solve all our problems. You know, our problems are so ingrained at this point. They're only going to be solved, I don't know, with fucking lead. I mean, there's no real way to put it. There's no peaceful solution, my friends. I'm sorry. The infection is too deep into our republic for it to be solved through a vote. But I'll stop short of screaming for bloody revolution while on stream, while I dip into my my chat. Scurvy Wench throws out in the chat, I think Trump did well by not taking the bait. Yeah, he held his composure too, man. The moderators were fucking with him. The moderators did not give him like a fair shake. You know, they were redirecting him when he should have had a chance to respond. They were just trying to drive the conversation. They weren't letting it flow. They weren't letting a debate happen. See, I would really have liked to see Trump bring up Ashley Screwhead. Yes. Yeah. You know, there had to have been a list. You know, a list that, you know, the Trump campaign was given by the Biden campaign. You know, the no-no list, the things that we do not say on TV. You know, I think that he is actually barred from discussing that, or at least he was on the CNN platform. Like, as a condition of the debate, you can't say this, you can't bring up this, you know. And I think Ashley Biden and that whole thing was on that list. I don't think he could have talked about it. I would have loved to have heard him too. I would have loved to have him bring it up during one of the split screen moments where you could see like the reaction on Biden's face to see like what that instant like body language was when he heard it thrown out at him. You know, I would have loved to have seen that. That would have been clutch. But alas, you know, it didn't happen. Let's see, Christopher Helms. Trump made his case. Biden recited talking points, many of which were debunked long ago. Yeah, that's another thing. You know, I don't know. At one point while they were talking, Biden's like response to Trump was he directed people to like a poll question by historians saying that Trump was the worst president ever. Who gives a single rat's ass in the world what some poll that historians answered has to say? That's not a defining metric in my opinion. You know what I mean? I could give a fuck less, you know. So I mean that's fluff. You know, that's a question dodge. You know, and the fact that he thinks that sort of response can fly, like oh well, a poll of historians said you suck, so obviously you suck. Like no, that's not congruent. That doesn't equal each other in my eyes. That's just some bullshit that he threw out. You know, but. All right. Scurvy Wench, peaceful ain't alternative. Uncle One Tooth, the Tree of Liberty. Millstone, there is no political solution. Yeah, man, I try not. Guys, I try so fucking hard not to go like full pill. You know, I do, man. I wish I didn't feel the need to. You know what I mean? But there is no fucking political solution. I'm sorry. They have been man, I'm just gonna start screaming their name if I keep going on. The globalists have infected every fucking institution of our existence. They're in our colleges, they're in our banks, in our media, in our fucking government. Like, voting is not gonna fix that fucking problem. They need to be expelled by fucking force. They need to be ejected, brought to the fucking coastline and told to march. We cannot have them here. It's not working the fuck out, you know? Oh man. It's going to take a lot more than one man. It's going to take a lot more than MAGA. That whole movement is not strong enough to do it. You know, it's just, no. It needs to be a fundamental change in the consciousness and the civil-mindedness of our population. You know, this globalist excursion did not work out. It ended out by them sucking the wealth out of our empire and leaving us a fucking broken shell, leaving us with no lives for our children, leaving us fucking wage slaves where we sweat and bleed at the workplace to earn enough for one day's rations. It's just not working. They need to fucking go. Man, I can't. The only hope for us moving forward is that a spark of nationalism ignites in the friggin' few of us that are remaining that have the will left to fight. It's the only answer to our solution. I don't know. I don't know, man. And I don't want it to start screaming bloody murder and explosions and gunfire and everything like that. It doesn't need to resort to that, But it's going to come down to something, And the opposing force, this globalist structure that's oppressing us, their only advantage at this point is that they have never seen a force stand up against them, And if we can accomplish igniting that spark of nationalism in our people, the power that lies within that is enough to overtake any enemy, no matter how friggin' mighty it might be, And then we will have better footing. If we can expel them, we can live by our means. If we can reconnect to our history, we will have a better idea of where we're supposed to be aimed for our future, And it starts with getting rid of them. It starts by getting rid of their products out of the supermarket, so the next generation of our children don't have to grow up eating chemicals and be like morbidly obese before they hit kindergarten. We need to remove them from our school system, so our public schools aren't like propaganda indoctrination centers as they are today. We need to remove them from the media where they push poison and borderline pornography on us as entertainment. And we most definitely have to remove them from all areas of the banking industry where they are serving no other purpose than to devalue the currency that we all work so very hard for. If we can reclaim all of these institutions that these people have taken, we will be so mighty as a people. We could live in a virtual paradise. Our children would not suffer. They could have every opportunity that laid out in front of them. It's the only way moving forward, my friends. We have the choice of either a life in paradise or a life in purgatory. But it is our choice to make, our generation, our time. That decision needs to be made quickly. Fuck. I didn't mean to freak out, guys. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to freak out. Don't unsubscribe. YouTube, don't ban me. I didn't mean to be so based. But fuck. Let me dip into the chat. Yeah, Trump won, but mostly because Joe is a wreck. I think ultimately Trump succeeded in communicating. Yeah, Marxist. Magoo, believe me, I wish I wasn't the man I have to be, but I became the man I had to be. We're alive right now for a reason. Yeah, I feel the same thing, My sister threw some questions at me once, about like my beliefs and my activities. This was back in the day. I used to be extremely active, and she threw some questions out like why are you doing this shit? You're really getting yourself into some trouble, And I just responded that you follow your life path. Some people have that draw in them, that spark, They see the problem and they feel the need to act, and it, I just felt it, There's something that was deep down in people that, back in the day it forced them to throw the tea into the harbor. It forced them to put down the plow and pick up the musket, And it's just that spirit of freedom, of liberty, of this is how we're supposed to live. That's inside me. I believe it's inside all of us. It's our natural way. It's our most natural state. And when we feel ourselves being pulled away from that, especially by external forces, the natural reaction is to return back to it. You know what I mean? To recenter yourself, to align yourself and to move forward. And that's what I feel. The world around me, I just got the impression was being fashioned into something that wasn't beneficial to me as an individual. It wasn't beneficial to my country. It wasn't beneficial to my culture, my heritage. It was just artificial. Like so much just extra bullshit that isn't our way, that isn't our method. It was just laid on to me that I just felt like I had to act. Much like Screwhead's comment, he was made the man that he is. I felt that for a while too. I think we all have, But if anything, that just proves that spark that's deep within us, that it's our responsibility to act. This is a responsibility that we should take a lot more seriously. It's not one we can like shrug off onto the next generation. Just there's not enough time left. But I mean, once again, that's still just my opinion. I could be totally wrong. I'm wrong a lot about a lot of things. And plus, I mean, Jesus Christ, I'm just a fucking guy wearing a pig mask on the internet. Probably my advice is the worst advice you could ever hear. I mean, you should really fucking have your head examined for even listening to me in the first place, Mr. Stream Viewer. But let me check in the chat again here. Magoo is the right man at the right time to don the pig mask. Oh, Miss Fiona, I appreciate that so much. To be honest, this is the best part of the debate. I don't know, man. I try. I don't know. The debate's not there. It wasn't there for me. I understand that you want to put these things on from a centralist position and just try to give a little tidbit of what's important to all typical Americans, But none of that shit they were talking about is of any interest. I could give a shit less. I don't. But, I don't know, my friends. I think I am going to hop off. I think it's a little bit past 11 o'clock here in Greater Boston, so I'm gonna jump off. Give you guys a chance to do with whatever you want to do with the rest of your evening. I myself am going to try to quiet my house down, break down my streaming equipment, and probably end up hit my bed. Frame right on the other side of this wall here. Let me dip into chat real quick here. Damn Magoo, you just burnt the place down. Fucking excellent rant. Oh, thanks a lot, Screwhead. Jared D, great to see you all again. Yeah, Jared D, it's great to see all of you again. I can't thank you all enough for showing up here tonight to spend time here, to watch the debate. It's always great to have you guys throwing some ideas, bouncing them back and forth in the chat and everything. It really added a lot to experience, I do get it, man. I understand that a few times during the broadcast I just started like screaming into the mic, and I'll try not to like fucking shatter your eardrums sooner or later. But I mean, really, I'm not a professional streamer. I'm just an idiot who got a camera and a microphone and just started this whole mess. But if you did enjoy this mess, feel free to hit those like and subscribe buttons that are all somewhere down below the player. I do a Sunday show. It's called Live from the Pigpen. It airs here on this YouTube channel at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is just a bunch of foolish nonsense. If I had to classify it, I'd say it's a more comedy-themed program, or at least I try to be. A lot of our community deals with a lot of heavy subject matter, a lot of heavy themes during the week. It defines most of our like media that we soak in. It's just some really dark, heavy stuff. So on Sundays, I try to have a quick hour here on the internet where I just like goof off, man. We have a retarded time here. We do stupid stuff and have a good laugh, and we try to, just try to lighten the mood a little bit. Try to take that, that weight off your shoulders of just seeing just horrible stories and horrible clips all day. So, if that interests you, feel free to stop by Sunday, 7 o'clock. We have that party here. I started doing some game streaming. I play a horrible little race car game. I feel like I almost should throw out there that, like my Sunday content, stuff like this is a lot separate from my game streaming. On my game streaming, I'm literally playing a game. I'm talking about the game. I'm talking to other people that play the game. It's not political. It's not social. I mean, it's still me. I appreciate you guys stopping through the chat, but anything that you see me like doing during the week that has like a gaming tag on it, it's just my game streaming. It's a lot different than like my political stuff. But you're more than welcome to view that as well. But yeah, man, I'm going to take off. So you guys, once again, huge thank you guys for stopping by the stream and spending some time here. You really added a lot to the experience. And that being said, take good care of yourself. Take good care of other people. Try to do the best that you can. Until the next time I see you guys, just, I don't know, try to stay out of trouble, I guess. All right, bye.